Welcome back to the Mobile Legends M4 World Championships. We are in a treat for today as we go to the upper brackets for an encounter of teams manifesting greatness. The grand chess match continues as the Kings face off with the Queen for another rematch. The control mage genius did not let Toda break through the defense of their kingdom. Controlling the flow of the entire map, Clay supports his teammates by giving them advantages early in each lane. They are here to seek revenge on not just for their brothers in Brazil, but for themselves as they go to another rematch against their fated rivals, Blacklist International. The KDA machine is revving up his engine for the world stage as he gave a stellar performance during their last match, denying the RRQ siblings encounter. Yet another rematch is presented to them against their longtime rival, Blacklist International. World, right now, we can't even describe the feeling, the experience with RRQ Kingdom here in the venue, as well as the Blacklist agents. Welcome to the M4 World Championship with me, LaBelle, Naisu, as well as Strex. How pumped are you with everyone here?
My goodness. Yeah. This feels electrifying, man, and I can't wait. I mean, we still have multiple days to go here, but you can feel the energy here.
Most definitely. I mean, I couldn't describe it any better way. The electricity in the air right now from the kingdom, the agents, the tension is high.
Hey, here's the thing. We got to talk a bit louder, man. We got a match with everyone here now. The hot topic is the King's final gambit. Here's the thing. RRQ Hoshi, they need to be able to win the World Championship. Nice, I'm gonna put you on the spot. You're with the agents. Whoa. How do you feel about their chances?
He's with the agents.
Well, I don't know. Am I with the agents? I don't know. You don't know. Here, we'll just put it this way. Both these two teams, powerhouse teams. Now, this is, I guess you could say, part one, right? Even like we saw on the social media, this is part one for the final gambit here between these two teams. But who wouldn't want to start on the right foot with getting that first victory?
With that being said, let's look at the talent predictions because this isn't the grand final, but it's starting to feel like it. Looking at the talent prediction, as of now, is actually going towards RRQ Hoshi, where only D as well as Top Mo is thinking of Blacklist. Trex, looking at this, do you think you agree with the talent prediction where we're moving on? And this time, it's dominated by Blacklist.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. That is my name there. But let me explain this real fast. I think the thing is, RQ looks extremely strong, right? But Blacklist, on the other hand, they're the reigning champions. I think they got a lot more to lose right now than RQ, and it's still the upper bracket, so it could definitely go either way, but I just feel like they have something to prove here in Indonesia.
Okay, looking at both teams, we got to look at the power between both of them because, again, everyone basically knows Blacklist International as well as RRQ Hoshi. But now we got to look at, in terms of the numbers, we're going to look at Vin. We're at 80.5% team fight participation. Now, we got to talk about the weakness. Hero pool, only 55%. Do you think this will be a factor in this best of 5?
You know, I know looking at it, you might not think it's too big of a factor because honestly, when it comes to the hero pools, if what we're seeing so far is that success rate of a lot of teams just relying on, let's say, good 3 picks on the heroes, right? As long as you have that under control, which, you know, Vin obviously does here, then I think that sets your team up for success here. In comparison, as we see from Oh My Venus.
I was literally just about to say this, like, if you think about Blacklist, they haven't really pulled too many cards in the term of hero pool, right? Especially Venus. What works, and it's what they're gonna use. So in the general sense of things, RQ may have the deeper depth of hero pool here.
I mean, sometimes you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Once you know something works, then just stick with it. So, okay, looking at both of you, it looks like, in terms of the hero pool, it really shouldn't be that big of a factor. So, I think in this match, because we even talked about it's a chess match, the macro play is going to be very, very important. Before we go into the game, I'm really interested to see what do the casters have to say. So, the guys on the desk, get ready, because we're passing it over to you. Good luck.
A match worthy of the world stage. The Sang Raja faces Juara Dunia. Tonight, the King of Kings goes up against the defending champions. And, well, it's happening on Indonesian soil. Welcome to Mabuhay at your service. My name is Leo. This is Jays and that's Arashi. And we're covering tonight's best of 5 from the upper bracket. It's Rrq Hoshi versus Blacklist International. Real quick, let me remind everyone to never go out of style when you wear and game with Gank, a lifestyle fashion brand made for the modern gamer. And this is the M4 World Championship official merchandise partner. Grab the M4 merchandise at www.gank.asia today. The M4 Pass is available now. Complete all active tasks and you will reach level 75 at ease and for free. Log in now and get exclusive rewards like the Beatrix Light Chaser and Stellar Brilliant skins. And if you reach that level, the M4 Beatrix figurine, they're all waiting for you inside the pass. Hashtag Mobile Legends Bang Bang, hashtag M1BBM4, and hashtag Dare to be Great when you talk about it on social media. Fellas, this is a matchup worthy not only of the world stage, but also of a grand finals.
Yeah, to be honest with you, Leo, it felt like, the grand finals came a little bit too early right now. I know we're only halfway throughout the brackets, but, well, my fellow brother, what do you think so far?
I think it's going to be a crazy match because it's such a big contrast. Both these teams have their own signature play style. And speaking of which, we're going to see how their lineup.
Yep. They made their way on stage several times already this week. But tonight, it's Clay, R7, Skylar, Albert, and Vin going into this best of 5 against the defending champions.
It is the main roster with their own signature playstyles, and we've come to expect certain things from this roster, and that might be a bit of a problem, especially against this roster.
Man, but you talk about the main 5 roster from the side of Rrq Hoshi. I'm also talking about the main 5 roster of Blacklist, Haji, Edward, Oheb, Wise, and of course the Queen. Oh my Venus. A solid roster fit for the world stage, and we're going to start off from the player room of Blacklist International. They need to pump it up, they need to hype it up. It's all about the Yubei playstyle that made themselves known, whereas everyone has moved on to different passions or strats. They stick to their guts.
Walking into the stadium at the front, marching on, it's the Filipino Sniper, also known as Blacklist Prime. This lineup has won title after title and after title, and today they're on their way to making history. They're defending their championships for the first time in MLBB esports. Arashi, this squad, I don't know how else we can describe them. They've had their ups, they've had their downs, but here they're fighting on foreign land. Let's give it up for Blacklist International.
Woo! Man, I mean, usually we talk about pressure. We talk about having the audience in the crowd just be such a big factor. When we talk about Blacklist, though, this is where they belong. They've been here again and again, and they have proven that they are here to stay.
But of course, here comes the challenger, the potential usurpers, the fan favorites. Everybody in the stadium, even back at home, they're cheering for Viva Rrq. You look at the fans, they're pretty strong, and this is their home turf as well. And they're walking up in stage. This is going to be on, Leo.
Led by their team captain, that's R7. They've come so close to that world title, M1 against EVOS Legends in Malaysia, and here on home soil, they're looking to change history. This is the King of Kings, the Sang Raja. Jaya, 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 let's hear it for Rrq Hoshi!
Looking pretty solid here, Arashi. This is basically the home ground. And you mentioned it, Arashi. This is also, technically speaking, the best roster, right?
It is the best roster that they have decided. They've experimented with so many different combinations, but this is the one that has had a lot of success. And that is, of course, due to who you see on screen right now.
Oh, yeah. The coaches led into stage by our referee Banyu, that's Coach Achil, Coach Arcadia for RRQ, and Coach Bonchan, and Coach Master the Basics for Blacklists. And we're gonna have to start in the draft, right?
Yes.
A lot of what these two teams bring to the table, whether it be an explosive start into a snowball for RRQ, and then that very, very, I'd say, strategic and slow-paced game style that Blacklist has made popular. It all has to start with a good lineup.
I agree, because I feel like usually 60% is won in that draft. However, I feel like in this particular meta, that number is slowly rising. But ladies and gentlemen, if you notice on the screen right now, take a look. This is the outdoor stadium.
Wow.
It's all packed.
Indoor, outdoor, no difference at all, man. The supporters are here to show that they want their team to get success. And speaking of success, we talked about the drafting. And with both teams being so iconic with how they play, maybe that can be an issue in the flexibility department.
Arashi, talk to us about what the teams look like on a statistics basis, because in M4 alone, RRQ Hoshi has won more games than Blacklist. How?
I think the current meta really favors this very aggressive playstyle. We see it again and again. When a team is able to just get full control and not let their opponents come back, not make a mistake like that, they can just completely snowball and take over. I think it just the meta really makes the statistics favor RRQ. But of course, when the chips are down, when it comes to those big matches, sometimes it doesn't have to be fast. It just needs to be sure.
Just need to be sure. I feel like Blacklist, if you take a look at this graph, it's just the surface area doesn't look as good. I feel like, you know, Blacklist International, even though the meta has shifted something else, a lot of dive composition, they still stuck to their ultimate bonding experience. This is their strong meta. They created this meta and they're here to stay. But let's take a look at the most picked and banned heroes.
Yep, this is for RRQ Hoshi. Again, by the call of Coach Arcadia and Coach Achil, they like the Eve, they like the Yuzhong, they like playing with the boxes, right? And they like to get rid of heroes that might mess with that. The Kaja and the 1-1. Skylar, they want Skylar to win that lane, so it's hard if the opponent picks up a hero. That pressure's so hard, much like 1-1.
Big pattern you see though from their most picks and their most banned by opponents, they just really like those playmaking heroes, mobility, crowd control, anything that can allow them to single-handedly turn the game around. On the flip side though, here are the stats for the most picked and banned heroes from Blacklist International by Coach Bonchan.
Bonchan likes to make sure that Oheb gets his carry, Agent Zero, Edward gets his Benedetta, and of course, the world goes crazy when Oh My Venus gets that Estes.
Yeah, I think that's the key ingredient, right? Like the Estes, the Mathilda as well. A lot of things is something that, you know, we talked about the drop earlier. Remember I mentioned 60%? No, it's right now at 75%. Feels like most of these M4 results are based on the draft in the end of the day. So it's up to, well, I don't know what to call it, the King or Queen's Gambit. It's the chess match happening between the coaches that allows, you know, both of these players from both of these two teams to shine.
Yeah, and again, the Agents and the Kingdom are here for it. Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about how exactly they're going to win in the Land of Dawn. Arashi, talk us through RRQ Hoshi's keys to victory.
It's all in on Vin to find openings and break the code. If he can engage, if he can find the right pickups, RRQ can find a lot of success on the back of those plays. Depending on R7's versatility and commanding lane presence, he can win that lane and take out a very big factor in the XP lane of Blacklist International. Force the aggression, dictate the tempo, and respect Wise's enormous and unusual hero pool. If they can make sure that they control the game and control the picks possibility from Wise, they have a good chance.
I mean, that's the reason why we're picking Fredrin in the jungle more often, Valentina, is because of Wise. And now, Blacks International, they have ways. It's odd to say that M4 is not their meta. It was the opposite for when they won the World Championship back in M3. Right. So now, their keys to victory have to adjust as well.
Yep, let's take a look at the keys of victory from the side of Blacklist. Allow the Queen to orchestrate a complete Ube. The Filipino sniper is a battle of the snipers between the Indonesian and the Filipino side. Contest of trade, and of course, these are only just small little things, especially for a game of this level, Leo. I'm excited.
We're mere moments away from the draft beginning. But first, let's take it in. Let's hear the crowd. The kingdom is loud. The Agents, I'm sure, in Tennyson Dorsinayan will soon be making noise as well. But we also have to listen to the watch party just right outside the stadium. They are also part of this whole celebration. MLBB Esports has never been more alive. You see the smiles on their faces. We're all just one big family at this point. But let's see what the world thinks of this upcoming matchup between RRQ Hoshi and Blacklist International. Because the prediction, again, it was still split, right? Between the talents, it was still pretty split.
Yeah, I think it's still pretty split. And the fact that, you know, I think I like the fact that Trax was put in a very awkward spot right there because he's technically, you know...
Didn't expect it.
Yeah, I think he's technically like the third party, right? He's there as an observer and he has to kind of break the tie just a little bit. Now, before we actually see the audience prediction, I'm actually excited to see what they have in store, what the whole world thinks about this particular one, but also a lot of focus on these coaches as well, right? Like the amount of draft, and we've seen the performance from RRQ Hoshi as well. Albert performing wonders in the previous few days.
Arashi, talk to me about the impact of Coach Achil, especially in the draft, because I've heard so many things and their success in the past year and a half, I believe Achil is very much responsible for it.
I mean, Achil is a man who understands, who really is sure with what he wants. If he thinks that something can work, he ensures that his team will go on with it. And of course, there are times where this leads to a bit of questionable results, but of course, when the whole team is united, when the coach understands that his players has his back, that is where the team can shine the most. And just like that, ladies and gentlemen, we're back to the drafting phase, the banning phase for game number 1.
It's RRQ Hoshi. They're the home team on the blue side, on the play. They get the pick. First up, banning out the Kaja, the Benedetta, and the Eve, while Blacks International answers back. They got the 2 picks on the red side, banning out the 1-1 and the Franco.
I think wide open right here. Carry's wide open. There's also that glue potential pick. I feel like some of the teams have already started to realize that, yes, Carry is a must pick, a must ban, but there are counters. Like, for example, the Harry, for example, the Lunox. Right now, Blacklist International, there's some MCQ that they need to solve.
Ooh, I mean, I'm wondering if we're going to see something crazy. We already mentioned earlier, both these teams have signature heroes, signature playstyles, but as Jace was mentioning, the longer this tournament is going on, the more it seems like flexibility becomes key. And now with all these strong quote-unquote heroes banned away, are we going to see something unusual, or are we going to see the classic power picks, considering that this is only game number 1, and as the first pick is going to be that Joy?
That's a hero that rarely comes through, right? Usually you see it banned, and just in the recent days of the knockout stage is when Joy started to run rampant. Literally, when you watch the hero, right? Mostly in the XP lane, but the answer by Blacks International, they put Haji, the KDA machine, on the Farsa, again, setting up that box in the absence of the Eve, and then they pick up the glue. So there's a good amount of dive and just blocking potential for that box that they want in the team fights.
I think it's instead of the box, it's like a circle, Leo, right? But apart from that, I am actually very surprised that RRQ did not prioritize the glue. It's mostly going in for the Joy. Now, I think we're starting to see some of the pro players starting to realize that, hey, the Joy is kind of melting on the EXP lane. But of course, I think currently we're not too sure whether this Joy will be going into the jungle or Joy going into the EXP lane. Hopefully it's R7 that will be playing it. Now as the pick phase counts down, we need to see which is the best in slot for them side. It is an Albert on the Fanny and a Hilda.
It's a Fanny and a Hilda and a Joy. That is a lot of early game pressure considering RRQ. If they want to go and start snowballing, this is a composition that can work. We talked a bit about that glue, as well as the Joy and the possibility of flexing it around, and there's still chances available here, but for Blacklist, that is that signature asset showing up in the first game of the match.
Usually, for Blacklist International, this is where you start seeing the Estes, at least in their previous performances here at M4. They're so gung-ho and ready to just pick the Estes right when they're ready, and they're so decisive about it this time around. And I like it. This is a growth for the world champions because, again, they needed to grow in the past 3 months given how much of a struggle they had in recent international championships. I'm talking about IESF Bali. I'm talking about MPLI. So now they're trying to redeem themselves.
Definitely redemption is the king here. Well, queen here, mind you. But from the other side, oh my goodness, you know, going into Estes, you're expecting Wise to go for this very tanky front line. It's up to RRQ to realize it. Ban away the Barats, ban away the Fredrin. I think these are the top bans from the side of RRQ. But Blacklist bans away the Kadita.
They ban away the Kadita, understanding that they are susceptible to just getting combo, getting dove in the back line. And honestly, it does seem like RRQ has so much aggression already available. The last thing the Blacklist wants is to deal with a very elusive roamer or mid lane, like the Kadita. So right now, Barats has been banned away as well. For RRQ, with so much mobility, with so much burst potential, if they can deny the tankier members, the beefier heroes from the side of Blacklist, they can get success in the early game.
Yeah, and again, on screen, it's the Filipino sniper himself, the M3 Grand Finals MVP, Oheb, with a very powerful quote. Words of, I'd say, competition for the King of Kings. Good luck. We will destroy you. Well, it's going to be tough because, again, the first 3 picks from RQ already very strong. Very rarely do we see a lineup that has the Joy and the Fanny in the first phase. Now, wrapping up their draft. What's Skylar to pick? There goes the Harith. What's left?
Ooh, with the Harith banned down, I mean, there's still potential. Depending, it's so difficult right now because it really depends on what you want to go for. We've seen that, for example, the Lunox can come into the gold lane, but that depends, right? Are they going to try and go for early game burst damage? Because then it makes a bit of sense if they need a bit more magic damage as well. But otherwise, they might just go with something a bit more safe, something with some range, something with a bit more kite potential.
Jays, are you thinking this should be the Fredrin? Because if not, I can expect Blacklist to just snap pick it as soon as we come back.
Yeah, definitely. If this ban is not a Fredrin, it will be snap picked by the side of Blacklist. But that's also another thing that RQ has also considered the fact that the Beatrix might know it's going to be the Boxer that gets taken away instead. I like what RQ is thinking as well. Yes, that could be a Fredrin pick going in, but I think a Beatrix will be better, in my opinion, for the side of Blacklist. But it's going to be the Brody instead. This is unusual coming off of Blacklist.
They're keeping him thinking. And again, the Brody is a pretty solid when you have Joy in your face, when you have a 1-1 in your face.
Joy in your face.
You can expect that the baby alien, Fanny, Albert, will be going wherever he can find Oheb or Haji. I mean, even Oh My Venus.
I mean, it's a good pick if you want to try and kite back, have a bit more self-protection, right, on that marksman role that's usually very vulnerable. But now, that means that for RRQ, they can count on the fact that there's very limited amount of DPS coming in from the side of Blacklist. They have burst damage, so pick-up potential, but in the longer drawn-out fights, this Hilda might just be too beefy to whittle down, to melt down by Blacklist.
I think another thing that we also have to talk about is Wise's jungler. It is going to be RRQ that locks in the final drop, a Faramis and a Claude. Something that could counteract against the heal of Estes, but there you go, a Fredrin finalizing the drop of Blacklist.
They didn't need to rush the Fredrin. I mean, if the writing is on the wall, you know what's up. This is the right timing for it. Now that we've seen both lineups, I have to say, the Faramis in mid for RRQ Hoshi, it's going to be very 50-50. Like, if it works amazing. It makes sure that they undo the damage that possibly the sustained Estes brings to the table. But if not, it's just going to act as another possible re-engage.
I think another thing that RRQ could play this is that Faramis is not meant to basically win the lane. It is usually the Fanny that, you know, wins the mid lane by playing aggressive in the mid lane very early on.
So a lot on the shoulders of the baby alien.
Yeah, man.
Arashi, what do you think?
Ooh, I think in the early game there's so much potential. It's such an oppressive composition. They are tanky, they have decent amounts of base damage, and they have a cult altar to facilitate crazier plays. If Blacklist does not curb that aggression, they might be looking at disaster.
Let's go into the Land of Dawn for Game 1 in this best of 5. Let me hear a big Viva RRQ and break the code. Let's make sure that our athletes get the best experience first. We'll need to iron out some kinks in this competition. Gives us time, though, to digest and, of course, allow our crowd to let it in. Let the atmosphere in.
I mean, the atmosphere, we've said it again and again, but we just have to keep restating it. It is crazy right now.
Yeah.
Fortunately, we have headsets to cancel out the noise, but we can still hear them through. It's kind of ridiculous.
I can only imagine what it's like for our players. And again, that's why folks at home, and again, everyone here in the stadium, we want to make sure that they have the best experience, all the decisions that they make, all the equipment, and all the things that they need to be able to compete at the highest level are set for them, and that's why we need to wait just a little bit more. Jace, talk to me more about how maybe it's on the Fanny this time to help win that mid lane, because that's a main artery. What's that going to mean for Blacklist International if it does work out?
So I feel like right now Blacklist has to answer this question, right? Where is this Estes going to go? Are you going to protect the Brody, or are you going to protect that Farsa? Personally, I feel like Blacklist should prioritize protecting the Farsa, because I think the Feather Airstrike is a very big utility towards your early games. Whereas Brody, no offense to Oheb, right? His role is just to push down turrets, and Claude, on the other hand, doesn't have a lot of kill pressure. So maybe that's what Blacklist needs to go. However, from the side of RRQ, Fanny should attack that Farsa.
And to make matters worse for Blacklist, they usually like to rely on the Farsa that is roaming by level 2, so just being a very consistent factor around the whole map. So if RRQ can shut down that lane, that's already one tool that Blacklist like to use, just denied from them. And from there on, that is where they can actually try and contest the other mutual objectives, because without mid pressure, and the Farsa cannot get into position to try and capitalize with that Feather Airstrike.
And now that gives Blacklist a lot to think about, because we know that the KDA machine, Haji, is good at protecting himself. But when it comes down to, again, that gold lane, it's also very possible that Vin just pressures Oheb all the more. Clay can do the same, because again, I'm used to seeing Clay on heroes like Savior, on heroes with huge range like the Eve. But now, he needs to get in your face a little bit more. So with that being said, I'm guessing even RRQ might be trying out something new here, being a little more aggressive than we're used to.
I think aggression is the key right here. If you take a look at RRQ's side of the drop, right, their roster, except for the Hilda, there's not a lot of hard CCs. The Glue will technically have a CC, no doubt. The Farsa has a lot of CCs. That's a massive slow. There's a stun in the Brody. There's also a taunt in Fragile too.
And we haven't really been talking much about the Claude in the hands of Skylar, the gold laner for RRQ Hoshi. Very good friends with his counterpart in Blacklist International's Oheb. Arashi, talk to us about their head-to-head. What do the stats say?
The stats say that Skylar is a lot more aggressive. He does get more kills, but as far as GPM and damage per minute is considered, Oheb has him beat. So it does seem like RRQ, they're just more suited to this early game playstyle, and from the looks of it, it's going to be an early game battle. Even if Blacklist is going to drag this out to the late game, their only real late game pick is going to be that Farsa. So it's going to be very difficult for them to match out the composition of RRQ from multiple aspects here. Is it going to be the DPS, the mobility? RRQ just seems to have an upper hand when it comes to that.
I feel like, Arashi, this is the stats that I like to see if this is my gold laner, right? I have a higher KDA, but with a lower GPM at a lower DPM. So basically, he is a lot more economical as compared to Oheb. This shows that Oheb needs more time to grow to output lesser KDA as compared to Skylar. So I think in this player head-to-head, I'm leaning towards Skylar.
And Skylar on the hero like Claude allows for that.
Yeah.
It's faster rotation compared to the Brody. It's much easier for him to be part of fights, as he should be, because again, we're expecting Albert on that Fanny to cut straight through. And I believe, again, ladies and gentlemen, we're mere moments away from getting back into the action. And I'd like to thank everyone, terima kasih semua, for everyone here in Tennis Indoor Senayan for being patient with us. Because again, just as like everyone, even those watching at home, we want to see this bout. We want to see this maybe go all the way. I mean, for both sides, just to be clear, right?
Definitely. And since we have some time here, we have to talk again about the fact that Fanny is in the hands of Albert. This man is a mechanical genius, to say the least. And they also have a Hilda on their composition. So now, if you look at the composition of Blacklist, there's not a lot of crowd control, at least not a lot of reliable crowd control, and that might be dangerous.
Not a lot of instantaneous ways to stop Albert, and that could be dangerous. And oh, the crowd is feeling it. Oh, the spirit. Oh, I'd love to see the agents get in on it like the Kingdom are. It's no wonder that even RRQ Akira, in their opening year under that banner, just have fallen in love with the Kingdom with this kind of energy.
Yeah, it's just crazy, right? On home turf, I think. Well, you could argue that there's a lot of pressure on Blacklist International as the defending champions.
Yes.
But there's also, I would say, an equal amount of pressure for RRQ themselves. Can you imagine RRQ losing to Blacklist in the home turf?
Whoa. Let's not go there. But yes,
Relax, Jace, relax.
Because back home, it's Blacklist who actually has this kind of reception when we play in the MPL, right? So now the shoe's on the other foot. Let's next talk about the roamers. Let's talk about Vin. Let's talk about the Queen. Oh my Venus. I didn't expect Oh my Venus to have such a high KDA.
Yeah, but I think that's because of the Ube playstyle, right? It's a lot easier to rack up the assists going in and the kill participation as well, whereas Vin, more of a setup kind of tank. Your main goal is to set it up for your team, just catch 1 or 2, and then after that the rest follow up. Whereas, of course, you know, damage taken per minute, definitely heavily leaning over to Vin. So I think it's just the contrast between these two playstyle of kind of roam, a support versus a hard tank engage.
And to keep in mind that Oh My Venus plays a lot of utility, a lot of supportive roamers, whereas Vin likes being that front line, likes being that main engage tool. So it does get reflected, as Jace mentioned, in the damage taken. But of course, I think Vin is also very crafty with how he likes to engage fights. Sometimes he just tones down the aggression in order to be able to just go for a big fight and just surprise their opponents completely. We've seen it again and again, and of course, some people might say, oh, he hasn't been doing it recently, but there's nothing to say that he cannot do it today, right now.
And again, it's just the fact that the KDA is much lower means he's more willing to trade. Because when Oh My Venus falls for Blacklist International, all the other cards just get laid out as well. And that's very important. That's key to how the Ube strategy works.
Yeah, I like the fact that this is the hot topic, right? We're talking about the King's final gambit. It's also the Queen's final gambit, right? It's the battle of the King versus the Queen together as well. You lose your Queen in the chess match, that's it. It's really hard to climb back out. Whereas, well, King is the one that kind of ends the game, but still, the value of this Queen may be the biggest double-edged sword of Blacklist International.
So are you saying it's a Royal Rumble right now, Jace?
It is. It is a Royal Rumble in the Foreign Empire.
In the what? In the Foreign Empire?
Yeah, well,
like
they are
that.
on a different soil, right? So it is up to RRQ to defend this ground.
And boy, oh boy, slowly but surely we are loading back into the land of Dawn. Once more, we would like to thank everyone who's staying with us, everyone patient for the competition.
Here we go.
Let's get into game number 1. RRQ Hoshi versus Blacklist International. Eyes on the early rotations. Where are junglers starting?
Welcome to Mobile Legends.
It seems like both teams are trying to like make sure that their jungle is safe. Vin, of course, on that Hilda, will be attempting to try and get a bit more value, abusing that passive coming in from the Hilda.
Yeah, so it feels like it is going to be a mirror matchup. Of course, the Fanny will prioritize the purple buff first, but instead of seeing Vin, you know, hard invading on the enemy side, it is Vin on the protective side. It's something, as I mentioned as well, Oh My Venus will need to stay around the mid lane, need to make sure that Haji gets to level 4 as quickly as possible.
Yep, and for the first minute, 45 seconds, I'd say Vin could be a little more aggressive, and I guess that's why Haji and Oh My Venus are staying here. That's the reason why they're trying to protect Wise and get him his buffs before, again, the much, much faster Albert can come in and try to contest.
A lot of that.
Situation right here, but Vin actually gets jumped on, he gets stunned, won't be enough in this early game, and this is the problem, right? They don't really have any pressure in the side lanes to try and facilitate Vin, trying to just disrupt Vice's farming pattern. And being on a Fredrin, he can hold his own 1v1.
Yep, I mean the best part about Wise going for the Fredrin jungler is that he's unfazed about the damage coming up from Vin. And not only just that, because Oh My Venus is sticking around the mid lane, there's a lot of heal, but hold on a second, Albert's already spinning over Vin! First blood! Going over to the RRQ National!
Hate it when we're right, but this is what RRQ exactly needs to do. Small lead in a minute and a half, about 500 gold, but that's what you do with a lineup like this.
We thought that the target was going to be Haji. It is Oh My Venus. Bursted even through the ages. That is unreal. Early game damage coming in from RRQ. It's not even level 4.
Yep, something to note, we didn't see this in the prep or the draft going into this. A battle spell we rarely see in game, at least in the professional scene. Yes, indeed, folks, that is Oh My Venus on the Aegis. Oh, something down bottom here.
I feel like it's just about Aegis, making sure that if Oh My Venus is able to survive even longer to sustain against the burst damage coming up from Albert, so that he could just spread out the heals. But something very interesting is when Oh My Venus is one that lost his life first. Haji only just hit level 4 at the same time. A lot of pressure coming in, Albert coming to the spin, but he will not be able to find anything as well. And we'll pause the split for now. It's coming in, possessing Vin for now. On the middle, but here comes the counter at the same time. Haji in the back line, running down the air shot, but will be able to push Vin out of their jungle.
Oh, that's a 1 for none. And that's RRQ with a man down. They're pushing Clay away as they start this first turtle.
Yes, Edward. Oh no, he's actually putting a lot of pressure against Albert, but Albert's actually spinning around. Look at the... oh no, Edward just managed to push Albert away, giving Wise that turtle. That is absolutely fantastic.
RRQ still going to get something back. Edward is the main target here.
Edward!
Able to secure it. And it's still not over. Both teams duking it out.
And they're duking it out. It is all going. Oh no, Albert, he got caught right inside the turret, inside the brush as well, but he's able to cable away. Blacklist International destabilized, but RRQ on the other hand, they're not taking prisoners.
Ooh, it's just a tough situation right here, and Albert is the one that needs to back off.
Feather
Both
airstrike.
trading, but Feather airstrike will not be able to make a big difference. And I think Wise actually stole the orange.
Yes, he did. Looking at the board here, Blacklist have gotten a small lead. Again, 3 minutes and a half. We're about 1 minute and 15 from that next turtle. Again, let's talk about the emblems here, because again, even the battle spells have gotten already pretty tricky. Arashi, talk us through.
I mean, look at all that movement speed being prioritized. Rotations, rotations, rotations. That is what both these teams like to use to get an advantage. And unfortunately for RRQ, early on in this game, I don't think the Faramis Cult Altar can give you that much value because you don't have the same amount of damage that you can dish back out. Whereas for Blacklist, having Haji on that Farsa just allows them to just destroy RRQ when they're clumping up in the jungle earlier. So they need to wait for a bit more power spikes to ensure that aside from having a second life, they have the damage to back it up as well.
Yeah, and already, it looks like RRQ are off tempo. It seems like Blacklist response to this hyper-aggression in mid has found its match. Wise gets pulled very precariously because, again, bigger presence from RRQ here in the mid. But Turtle is spawning in the top side. Oheb pops a torn apart memory. Oh, I'm loving Blacklist positioning right now.
I love Oh My Venus positioning. In fact, being in the mid lane means that you could actually rotate all the way up top, all the way up mid, all the way bottom. In fact, even the jungle, this global map presence of Oh My Venus is there. Even with Albert's Fanny, wasn't able to match.
This is why it's just so difficult. RRQ, they want to go for pickoffs, they want to abuse Albert on that Fanny with that early game damage, but when Blacklist clump together, fight together as a team, they have the Faramis as a quote-unquote counter, but it's not working right now.
The Feather airstrike will be able to land on Albert as well. Albert will be able to cable all the way out back to safety, but that is a very low jungler. Albert needs to go back and reset. Blacklist, they have total control for now.
Oh, they go ahead and start it.
R7.
It's only R7 first to the scene.
R7, just picking something in the round. Skylar coming in, but it's going to be R7. And takes down the sniper. And not only just that, Wise will be there to go down the damage to cover the turtle. Wise going there, still will be able to turn Finn. Finn will also fall in the hands of Wise for now, but R7, look at this joy. Super annoying. And Haji, K.O. machine, will also fall. And Wise right now trying to delay, trying to actually put down some damage, but look at Skylar, he's actually pushing down the turret at the same time. Clay already here, but Edward possesses R7 right there. But what are you going to do? There's a Skylar right there, right ready for you to pop. Edward, I'm a little bit afraid of you. You have to run away, my boy. But Edward, turn it around. R7, oh my God, so much time bought by Edward.
A long-form trade there by Agent Zero, buying time, buying map space for Blacklist International, keeping that fumble in, I guess, recoverable space, and they push down bottom. Arashi, how did Blacklist recover?
They were just able to actually buy so much time in that fight, and their members were able to come back from the fight despite being taken out earlier on due to the big combo from RRQ. This is what RRQ needs to be very careful about. They have a lot of damage, but they need to make sure that they do not allow Blacklist to have multiple rotations of their ultimates.
Finn manages to catch Oh My Venus, has to pop the ultimate for now. It's going to be Oh My Venus again. She's going to Ola, but here comes Albert for the assassination. He fights the Queen, and will be able to zip and zap out of the way. RRQ on the roll right here in the KDA.
Arashi, that's Oh My Venus' third death. Oh, wait! V-Wise, of course. If you take down V-Wise, is going to respond. Oh, they're looking for something.
He's trying to look for something. Skylar will be able to beat MI all the way out. Edward, I don't think there's any kills for now they can do. Blacklist, they managed to stabilize for now.
Arashi, talk to me.
It's so dangerous right now, man. RRQ, I think once they have a bit more items, they can start being a lot more menacing to Edward, to Oh My Venus, and Wise. This is what we've seen again and again. very solid damage dealers from back far away, and 3 very solid tanky members in the front. This is what Blacklist is working with right now, and unless RRQ has the right items, for now, Blacklist still has the advantage. They can still bully RRQ away from the objectives.
Yep, but it's going to be Bin that engages all the way first. Faye coming in, but it's going to be Edward. Oh no, he stops Albert right now. It's going to be Retrovato, but it is won by Wise. And now, then there's going to be Blacklist going to try to do something. R7 all the way in the backline, looking at Edward. He's actually super tanky right now. The bench is doing pop. Wise going in, the better extra going in. R7 needs to run away, and he manages to run away from the artillery strikes.
Something tells me this is the ideal engage that Blacklist was looking for maybe 2 or 3 minutes ago.
Yes.
That's what they wanted to do in that other turtle up top, and now they're able to finally execute.
They're able to pick off a win in that jungle fight, and afterwards you can see that everyone just jumps on the opportunity. RRQ, they are forced again and again to back away, but now that Skylar has the golden staff, it's going to be something that Blacklist needs to keep in mind, right? They are working against the clock right now.
And with this 1,000 gold lead, their stats against Indonesian teams at M4 are looking a little better, right? The small lead in the mid game, 8 minutes in, 1,000 gold ahead. They're currently sitting at 0-6 against Indonesian teams. Their fate may change right here.
They have a chance to just turn it around, but look at this EXP lane. It's just constant battling, and keep in mind, R7 was able to be so tanky there due to that vengeance. This will be a lot more annoying the longer the game goes. Once he has the concentrated energy, the other sustain items, it's going to be near impossible for Blacklist to try and kill him without locking him down.
Yeah, blocking down, I think from the side of Blacklist right now, they're able to stabilize one. Oh, man, he gets caught out. It's a whole gang, but Colors are coming in just in time at the same time. Colors are all the way in. Let's go, also will not be able to do more than enough for RRQ to slowly take down Blacklist. It's gonna be just Wise, it's gonna be just Edward, and now Skylar, he gets caught by EBMI out. R7 on the chase right here. Wise looking a bit low. Edward just trying to kill, and then he will try to possess. Going in this Vincent, he got on top of R7. It's just a slow death for the joy.
Agent Zero gets his man. Down goes R7. Something tells me as we get more into the late game, there will be a cap. There will be a limit for RRQ's aggression, and then more and more Blacklist can find their way into this game. 10 minutes in.
The longer the game goes, the more healing Oh My Venus will have, but also the more damage RRQ will have. So it's going to be a bit of a balance. It all comes down to execution. That blazing duet was just so devastating, and if Blacklist keep coming together, that's dangerous.
Albert coming in, would not be able to do the retro battle. Albert needs to tap out for now. It's going to be Blacklist going to be engaging on top of RRQ for now. It's going to be Vin, and first of all, the Haji. The heal coming in, manages to sustain for Blacklist to fight.
Down goes the M-Series all-timer who hit his 500th assist in the M-Series overall. Vin sitting at 0, 5, and 5. The Hilda's doing its work, right? Looking at its items, he has physical defense in the Antiquitas. He's building up towards magic defense. But I gotta say, against Blacklist International, you're really only building against OHEB for physical. What's going on here?
Well, they want to make sure that their main pickoff tool, right? The tournament memory cannot be used.
Strike! Albert gets deleted right off the map as he tries to get his purple buff, and that's not a good timing for RRQ.
Arashi, back to the point.
Back to the point, man. The tournament memory is the main tool they're using right now. Yes, the better airstrike is going to be difficult to deal with, but R7 now trying to deal with the whole team of Blacklist alone.
Yeah, but not just that. It's going to get denied by the. Oh my goodness, actually here, but the Urban Bench is actually trying to next shot. Hey, coming in with the car, making sure that the Joy stays alive just a little bit. Vin, he finds the back line, and he wipes out Haji at the same time. There'll be the trade for R7, but oh my goodness, the damage starting to come for RRQ. Blacklist is trying to crack the bottom lane open.
Oh, they pull Edward! No. And the split comes in right on time. The baby alien has to respond to the lane up top, and just like that, 11.5 minutes in, 5K gold lead, Blacklist International turning the map red.
It's such a chaotic game, but at the end of the day, Blacklist are the ones with the map pressure advantage. Now, once the Lords become even more important, they can use this to set up traps for RRQ, even though in the way, right, RRQ has a better vision game, considering that they have a very strong front line. Let's take a look at the instant replay by TikTok of that fight. Begun with R7 just going in alone, but afterwards Vin was able to locate Haji in the midst of all the chaos. Unfortunately though, it's all traded in for several turrets in the process.
Every single time, if it's Vin for Haji, that's worth it for RRQ Hoshi. But if R7 has to come along, that bundle package is way too much.
Yeah, the burst damage is something that Vin has to be careful about. Not a real one manipulation, mind you. The fact that airstrike, you can see Vin has to tap out.
Yeah, and just looking at the items, Arashi, I just noticed, man, the 4K gold lead, you can see a lot of it on the junglers. You can see it on Albert, you can see it on Wise. There's almost, what, 1,500, 2,000 in between them.
Oh, here we go. The Joy Vengeance instantly deleted. That is a very scary jungle for RRQ to be in.
This is the traps we were talking about with that vision game. But look at the split push coming in from RRQ. They're trying to find value despite being on the back foot. And keep in mind, on the point of items, there is a Necklace of Durance already rushed to be built by Clay, by Blacklist. They seem to be just going for the base.
Better airstrike will be used to zone on RRQ right now. Albert's trying to make a play. He has to recall back the base for now. It's going to be Skylar. Oh no, he gets taunted by Wise. And that would be a monster kill. Give it over to the Blacklist jungler. And Blacklist right now, they were into the fight. What can you do when you don't have a damage dealer? Wise will say, no more Clay.
1-for-1, Skylar for Haji, and just like that, Blacklist makes a beeline for the Lord. Arashi can RRQ contest.
Without Skylar, it's going to be a very tough process. He is the main damage dealer for the BPM members. Unless they can pick off Oheb or Haji, it's going to be very, very difficult, but Albert seems to be trying to make an attempt.
Vin, just check in, and just like that, Blacklist, let's go. It looks like they want to make sure that it's a clean go. They want a full maybe 3v5, 2v5 if they can, but with the way RRQ Hoshi are finding Haji and threatening the kill on Oh My Venus, it's not so easy.
It's not really easy at all. Skylar could just BMI right in and all try the Blazing Duet, but then there's the Menace, right? Oh My Venus, the thorn against RRQ side.
This is the difficult part as well. Blacklist, they are content just trading out damage because they have Oh My Venus on the Estes that can allow them to sustain through most of the damage. The same thing cannot be said for RRQ, who have to rely on a Cult Altar, right? A more decisive use of an ultimate to try and gain advantage. Vin can sustain with the shield and the healing coming in from the passive, but it's 1 compared to 5, and for Blacklist right now, they have all the map pressure in the world to work with as well, but right now, Albert is the one that's far away from this Lord. They might just wash it.
Different Astra going in at the same time. It's going to be the Lord that will be forgotten by the both of these two teams. The call already committed, but that's the damage coming off from Clay. And R7 will be able to find the backline. Will be zoning everything away. Wise will be down. Oh, trying to actually do something, but won't be able to do anything for now. R7 trying to save his ass. The ultimate was already activated, but now he got in for the assassination. And that's the jungler gone. The jungler advantage going to RRQ.
Oheb for Vin was a good trade, but now
Skylar.
it's all going down.
No, that's not a very good sign. RRQ does have the Retribution Battle right now. Stop the Blacklist trying to make something happen. They need to try to land the Retribution at the very, very right side. He has the Retribution and he gets the Lord.
The baby alien scores it, and you hear the kingdom roar. RRQ running away. Edward and Oh My Venus trying to look at least for a trade on the map. Blacklist still with a small lead, but RRQ Hoshi scores a Luminous Lord.
They have caught up, and man, the building literally was shaking at that Lord take. That was way too close for comfort, and now Blacklist make a play for the purple. It does seem like Clay will be able to secure that buff, but now we have a bit of downtime, and let's talk a bit of the items yet again. Glowing Wands have been purchased by the side of RRQ, knowing that there's just way too many big dudes on the side of Blacklist International. But on the other hand, look at Haji. That's a lot of burst damage, Divine Glaive as well, and with the truncheon, there's a potential for an outplay to happen here. RRQ need to be very careful in calculating how long the cooldown is on that item.
Oh, I think they have eyes on where Edward is. Haji pops a Feathered Air Strike, pushing away Vin. And this is what's so hard when you're Blacks International, right? You have to manage the waves because Albert's much, much faster than a majority of you. And then now you have to play honest. So far, Blacklist International have kept a small lead, but now RRQ Hoshi, they've done so well to recover. The map is blue.
I think it's the other way around. It's RRQ that's a little bit behind with the goal lead. They actually slowly claw all the way back, but it's going to be R7 getting a bit of damage for here. Wise in the thick of things. It's going to be Oh My Venus slowly healing up Wise. Blacklist International, they defended their throne for now.
This is the limitation of this team composition. Sure, it's a lot of damage. Sure, in a big fight, it has so much combo potential. But when you're up against a Farsa, there is no high ground, and there is no marksman to try and whittle down these turrets. So RRQ will be very, very reliant on winning fights with the Lord, and then using the Lord to crack open the base of Blacklist. Now, knowing this, Blacklist can very easily adjust and look for traps, opportunities, and loopholes to try and punish RRQ.
Wise is
airstrike.
playing
Whoa.
with fire. R7 comes in.
R7, Haji has to fly away, but it's going to be R7. Activated up in his way. He's all the way in the back line. He's ulting alone. Play. Manages to touch go out there just in time, but it's going to be, oh my goodness, actually desperately healing. Then fight. It's using the mid-lane. It's Elvin fighting. But he gets Hansa. Wise. Unstoppable. Unkillable. Scala and step out. Haji manages to take down Elvin as well. Elvin is not going to allow her to run away. OM is there to slide down Clay.
The only problem is they left that wave up top. But again, a man down is a man down. Albert, 30 seconds away from spawning. Can he make it to this Lord fight? Are they going to start it immediately?
They can just go for it if they really want to try and deny Albert, but that's still a risky play against RRQ's composition right now. They seem to be going for that mid-base target,
Yeah.
but look at Clay. He's looking for an opportunity. This might be a disaster for them.
Ohab going in. Clay was actually going to activate the Shadow Stampede just a little bit, try to zone it away. But Blacklist just continues to love to have that mid lane, and now RRQ's base cracked open.
That's permanent damage in mid, something that RRQ constantly have to tend to, and that's what Black is avoiding. That's why they sent Edward back home. That's why Haji's paying attention to top lane, and Lord is a clean 5v5.
I think RRQ just need to execute the fights cleaner here, because earlier there's a lot of burst damage, there's a lot of potential, but when you funnel in one by one like that, it allows Blacklist to deal with the threats individually. Whereas if you come at the same time, the Fanny, the Hilda, the Faramis, as well as the Claude, they have to actually ration out their crowd control, and maybe one of them will pull through and be the deciding factor for RRQ Hoshi.
Yeah,
so they have to be very careful.
Something tells me there has to be some specific way of cascading your skills for RRQ Hoshi to get it right. Now, Vin trying his luck. R7 coming in with an angle.
Vin eventually wants to fight as well. The call activated at the same time. Haji's better airstrike, trying to provide some high ground, some protection for Blacklist International. They shove RRQ out of the team fight.
Just didn't work out. Now Edward on R7. Let's see the relentless one, not letting go. Team captain, always pushing forward, leading with boots on the ground. This joy, 4-4 and 6. That is the KDA of a true warrior. R7 wants to force the issue, and look at that wave down bottom.
It's a huge wave, and R7 is pushing it out again, but Blacklist react almost instantly. R7 can flank right here. He does have the Divine Blade. That's a lot of damage available.
Vin will be the one that falls. It is going to be the Giant going in the back line. Oh my Venus! He's actually trying to kill, but will not be able to do so. I think there's one fall. There's no damage in over the side of Blacklist anymore. RRQ, they will try to fall this fight. Oh my goodness! The Queen will fall, and now RRQ full control of the map.
That was the exact order that they were trying to pull through the past 5-6 minutes.
That's it.
And now RRQ are threatening an inhibitor push.
It's going to be an inhibitor push right now. It's going to be Vin that's absorbing all the time. It's going to be cracked open from the outside, but Edward goes to fall. It's waiting for the RRQ. Blacklist, they need more time. And RRQ, they're not going to give any more time. This is game number 1, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be Wise definitely trying to hold, but there's so many people beside RRQ for now. Blacklist, they need to do something. What is it? Throwing punches? Not a good idea. It's RRQ. Next game number 1.
Oh my god.
The King of Kings draw first blood here in Tennis Indoor Sinayan. 1-0 in a best of 5. That match did not disappoint, ladies and gentlemen. The Kingdom roaring. They asked for more, and just like that, we've reached an all-time high BCU for M4. That's 3.1 million viewers all around the world.
That is insane, man. You don't want to miss it. This is the match we've been talking about, and this is why. Action-packed gameplay throughout the whole game, and even then, you can still see the adaptations, the itemizations, the tactics being displayed by both these teams.
Let me tell you how close this match is. For like good whole 10 minutes, the goal lead is like what, in the 3 figures. After a while, Blacklist gained like 2.4k gold lead or something like that. And then RRQ, they found the right moment to scale out of control.
And again, these two teams have been problem solving all throughout that close to 20-minute match, right? They've been figuring out how to engage, what works, face checking again. R7 did so much for his squad, and eventually they found the formula. Blacks International crumbles in the pressure of R7 and Vin, pushing forward constantly. And yes, they found Skylar several times, but in the end, all it took was one wipeout. the 1v5 was almost gonna work, but that was what, 3 or 4 seconds short.
It's such a tough situation, man. And again, this shows again the power of being the aggressor, being the proactive one in an engagement. Because several times, even in the last team fight, Haji didn't even get to pop his winter truncheon. Everything happened so fast, and when you're the one initiating, you have a measure of control in your hands.
I hear you, Arashi, and the whole stadium hears ya, because they are thirsting for more. I'd wish we could just go ahead and start the game almost immediately, but our teams, Blacklist International and Rrq Hoshi, have to go back, have to reset, and more is on the shoulders of Blacklist. They lost game 1. Let's talk about Battle Night, though. It goes live this January 21st. Expect loads of events and rewards up for grabs in-game. First off, complete battle tasks in-game on January 21st to get a skin choice chest. You can choose the skin you like most from the chest. Aside from that, battle bonus awaits you on the same day. Play matches and you'll get team star protection for 3 matches, double star raising points, double protection points, double EXP, and double BP for 5 matches. We're not stopping there. Free access to all heroes and loads of epic skins will also be available that very same day. Save the date. Log into the game on January 21st, enjoy the match, and win tons of rewards. Let's all celebrate the M4 Championship together. Call your friends. Now, with that being said, I think it's gonna take very, very specific minds, very smart minds to break down exactly how Blacklist can come back or how Rrq Hoshi can just push the advantage. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Arashi and Jays, my name is Leo. Let's go to the analysts.
Thank you very much, casters, and 3.17 million viewers worldwide witness Rrq Hoshi drawing first blood against Blacklist International. Welcome to the analyst stand with me, Lapel, Naisu, Estrex, and gentlemen, let's start things off quick. Initial thoughts about the game.
I mean, RQ brought a very scrappy guerrilla warfare type of style to that game, and today they were able to break the defense of Blacklist.
I gotta say, man, that R7, amazing game. The Joy side lane with the Vengeance, really hard to deal with, and that's kind of the trend we've been seeing here, that teams that decide to place Joy in that side XP lane, and that was a question a lot of us had, where does she work best? Well, I feel like now you could say the XP lane.
Yeah, talking about the Joy, let's look at atomization as well as the draft, because the draft is actually very interesting, where Blacklist International, the way that they draft it kind of counters what Albert wants to do. They're going to clump up, and Oh My Venus with the Aegis is preventing the burst for RQ. Still one Trex.
I mean, something to really point out here, Clay with a full damage build here. Not only that, R7 as well, building a decent amount of damage, even some penetration there. And I mean, this is the thing. They were able to just shred through that typical Blacklist bulkiness, and they were able to build this much damage because of Clay with that Cult Altar. It gave them just enough survivability to be able to last long against Wise and against Venus.
I think just the fact that Albert, the way he played the Fanny here, he started off strong, built that momentum, and as the game went on, everybody else was doing for him, and Albert kind of just swept in and was able to capitalize on a lot of those kills, and kind of that was the trend for them. And at the same time, at some point, even though you have the Estes, that signature pick there for Blacklist International, it just wasn't enough. And then there's so much chaos when you're talking about, I think they had, 2 sprints on the side for RRQ, and that was really hard because you saw that last team fight where things just kind of sandwiched in.
Yeah, looking at the stats, we can definitely see in terms of team fights, Blacklist International actually did a lot because the carry Sandbag as well as the Forgotten One is for Blacklist. Oh My Venus, 7 total assists, Wise, 253,000 damage taken, and Ohab dealing 110,000. But looking at how it's been done, it looks like RRQ, they dealt enough damage to deal with whatever Blacklist has for them.
I think something very important to point out here, though, is Skylar being the rich guy here. And in the beginning, we saw Albert, of course, popping off, right? But towards the end game, it started to shift to Blacklist, but eventually, Skylar comes online and is the determining factor in that final shred. And I mean, as a whole team, we saw the team fight participation. They all did a great job.
Honestly, talking about Skylar as well, something we didn't talk about is the corrosion side on the Claude. But before we talk about that, we gotta look at our MVP, where honestly, anyone from RRQ Hoshi deserves the most valuable player. But here, we gotta call for R7, the MVP with the EXP Lane Joy. And talk to us, Naisu. What about his MVP performance?
Again, man, this was a crucial component to their success because, like Trex mentioned, there was a point where Blacklist International had a great lead. I mean, they almost had a point where they could have marched into the base of RRQ here, but R7, the fact that he was able to create chaos in the back line of Blacklist International was really hard for them to deal with. And then again, you have just a lot being thrown at Blacklist International, not just that Joy there, but still, even R7, you can see just how proactive he was here in the heat map throughout this, especially this crucial part of the game, that mid-game into transitioning into late game to allow that chaos. And then, like Trex mentioned, when you have that Claude online, it's really devastating.
Yeah, the heat map is very interesting because we got to talk about 5 minutes going into 10 minutes because R7 was the determining factor of changing the pace back to RRQ's favor, because in the early stage of the game, RRQ tried really hard to engage against Blacklist International, and Blacklist won that one. But during the turtle fight, R7, again, just zipping around everywhere, being very tanky and dealing a lot of damage. And I kind of feel like at least half the damage is from the Vengeance alone, really changed everything. Without R7 showing crazy mechanics on the Joy, I doubt RRQ Hoshi would have won that match.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like every player just played it textbook, and from the beginning, this is about, what, 5 minutes in right here, we already see how R7 able to get into that back line, and if Albert can't finish it, R7 will, picking up that kill onto Oheb, another one goes on to Albert. I mean, all around able to spread that kill distribution and make sure everyone gets their items in.
I mean, that's the thing we're seeing, right? There was a very tanky, sustainable lineup that Blacklist International had, and RRQ knew that. And as they transitioned into the game, it was like they were whittling down those health bars. They were getting through that armor, that kind of front line, and things just started to fall in place for them time after time.
Looking at the highlight, I want everyone to pay attention because Blacklist International as well as RRQ Hoshi both had amazing drafts. And honestly, both drafts kind of counter each other. So in this best of 5, looks like what we got to look out for is definitely the execution, because RRQ Hoshi should not win against Blacklist International lineup because they're denying the win condition from RRQ, and yet they played around it because, sure, you guys can sustain, you guys can heal a lot with the S's, but as long as we wait it out and we re-engage, they could deal the best. So I kind of feel like in all of the best of 5s, we got to look at how the team fight is approached.
I mean, today I feel like the unstoppable force met the immovable object, and right now the unstoppable force is winning one game.
Moving forward, game number 2. Will Blacklist International answer back with a victory, or RRQ Hoshi will continue? Trex, Naisu, LaFell, it's an amazing game for us to watch. We've got to pass it over to the casters.
I hope you folks are ready for another 20-minute bout, maybe even more, but that's just me. At your service, my name is Leo, joined here by Arashi and Jays. And let me remind you guys all about the M4 Pass. It's available now. Complete all active tasks, and you will reach level 75 with ease and for free. Log in now to get exclusive rewards such as the Beatrix Light Chaser, Beatrix Stellar Brilliance skins, and of course, that M4 exclusive Beatrix figurine. They're all waiting for you inside the pass. Go ahead and hashtag Mobile Legends Bang Bang, hashtag MLBBM4, and hashtag Dare to Be Great if you're talking about it on social media. Fellas, the analyst stand, the very handsome men there talked about how the lineups should have countered each other, but in the 20-minute bout, it seemed like they both found ways to do the exact opposite. So now, what can we expect? Because it looks like Blacklist's losing streak is continuing.
I think the most important thing is that for a certain period of time, RRQ was a little bit behind in the damage department. It was constantly denied by Oh My Venus, right? But then, somehow, somewhere, when the item starts to slowly build in, it is, Blacklist that lost that momentum in terms of the damage, and then allows RRQ to just scale out of control because Skylar is just so amazing with that Claude.
And if you compare the compositions, I mean, for RRQ, they have a lot of tanky members that can also dish out a healthy amount of damage. I mean, even R7 on that Joy, he was relatively tanky. I thought he was going to go for the concentrated energy, but no, he went full damage with an Oracle, and the Vengeance just allows him to just tank up so much damage while still ensuring that the back line, like Haji for example, just cannot have any space to maneuver. So I think the fact that they have a lot more options like that, hybrid utility coming in, damage and tankiness, I think is what RRQ were able to abuse. Because if you look at Blacklist, it's always, okay, I'm a frontline, I'm a damage dealer. It's pretty clear cut.
He's onto something, right? This Joy on R7, truly relentless. It's a hybrid build, as you mentioned, and that should be something Blacklist takes into consideration. Let's talk about the good, though. The Blacks International put on the table. Is this normal? Should we start seeing glues deal this much damage?
I mean, Edward was just destroying everyone, especially in the early game with the base damage. We know that Glue is a hero that just does so well moving forward, moving aggressively. And when the fights just go into each other in that chaotic fashion, I think Glue just has so much value. But of course, that's only if the fights get that messy. So it's a good pick for the right situation.
I think personally, right, as a marksman main, right, myself, I wasn't expecting OHEP to do so much damage on the Brody. Usually the Brody was the one that, I see turrets, I take down turrets, ooga booga, that's all I do.
And that's what I think he did, right?
Yes.
That's what made that mid lane push so much, easier and possible despite the immense amount of pressure that Albert put there. And again, we did mention that with the lineup that RRQ Hoshi brought, there was going to be a cap, a limit, wherein their damage will take time to make a dent in Blacklist International's lineup, and they totally skipped that. They were like, you know what, let's not get to that point, let's burst them down while we can, and they tried a lot, right? There were like 4 or 5 different engages where it was started by R7 and Vin, and then it led to, you know, not so ideal results, but with that endurance, with that perseverance, they found the clean wipeout, they found the win.
I mean, it just seems like composition-wise, right? The fact that there's so many quote-unquote assassins on RRQ just means that inevitably the backline of Blacklist will be targeted, and this is the quote-unquote weakness, right? If you go front to back, if you try and just fight, you melt down the front lines, Blacklist has such a solid composition that can do a lot of damage from behind and still tank up so much damage with the beefier members and the healing from the Blessing of the Moon Goddess. But I think that RRQ, they just inevitably will find that backline, and I think that's just the composition being at play again.
I'm hoping that these two teams are revitalized much like the stadium, because, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to go into the draft. Game number 2 almost upon us. Let's start with RRQ on the play, banning out the Kaja, the Benedetta, and the Eve, with Blacklist International taking out the 1-1, the Franco, and of course, the Joy. First pick here, gonna be that carry. Arguably the best marksman currently at M4.
Yeah, the best marksman again for 100% pick ban raid, but it is RRQ Hoshi stating the statement, I don't care about your glue. And in fact, Blacklist International, if the first thing doesn't work, I'm gonna try it again. That's insanity.
This is so Blacklist. We've seen it time and time again. It's worked for them. The results will speak for itself. They again pick up the glue and the Farsa, much like they did in game 1.
I mean, with this glue going up against a carry, it's going to be such a difficult time. Early on against a Claude, maybe it's easier, but carry is built, is designed to deal with big HP targets like this glue. And on that note, Justin has a quote here. Advice to RRQ Hoshi against Blacklist? Nothing. They already know. Ooh.
And they showed us, game 1.
Yep.
That's how you do it, but it looks like there's more in the bag. The answer from RRQ Hoshi, it's very different from their initial draft from game 1. They pick up the Lapu Lapu and the Valentina, which was originally a Fanny and a Hilda, so it looks like they're flexing. They're showing how deep their pockets are. Coach Arcadia, Coach Achil.
You know, Leo, it feels like we're watching a rematch from game 1, right? Like the fact that Blacklist has already drafted exactly the same thing. But I hope the last 2 picks will surprise us, right, Leo? But Arashi, looking at the draft coming out from RRQ, are you expecting something like a Fanny to come back up again? But I think it's up to Blacklist International to ban that Fanny away.
I feel like if Blacklist does not secure any particular counter to these mobility heroes, there's no reason why RRQ cannot pick up another assassin. It worked so well, especially because Blacklist is just so reliant on that backline, as we mentioned before. So they've banned away the Joy. If they don't ban out the other potential assassins from Albert, like a Fanny, for example, or maybe a Hayabusa, there's really no reason at all. So I assume that with what happened in game number 1, Blacklist will try and get some stuns, some locks to ensure that Albert gets under control.
At this point, it's not even up to RRQ anymore. This is Blacklist making the right calls to try and make up for what happened in Game 1. This is what they do. They constantly try to push a strategy until it doesn't work, until it's over, and hoping that it doesn't come to match point because, again, it sucks when somebody tries the same thing over and over again, and now at least they're making these adjustments, right? They're banning out the Fanny, they banned out the Ling, which they previously did not do. It was previously a Kadita and a Harith, all the while RRQ Hoshi, they're doing the same thing here. They're taking out the Barats. Might this be the Baksha again?
I think it should be the Baksha. I mean, like, if Blacklist International is going into this game number 2 again with this exact same game 1 draft, if I were the coach, I'm gonna just go ahead and ban the Barats as well because I don't want to really have. Oh, wow, okay, they're gonna leave it open. They're gonna ban Aldous instead.
Was that so clear from the get-go? Were they so sure that, all right, I'm not sure if it's Arcadia or Achille who goes, they're gonna go Aldous. This is a throwback to Season 8. Take it out.
Maybe they feel like when the chips are down, Blacklist will default to something that always works, right? And this Aldous pick is just really, really solid. But another pick that we've seen quite often right now is that Granger as well. I wonder if that will be put to use because when you talk about kiting, there is a possibility that they will try and utilize that tool.
The Granger might not have to come up because Oheb is their marksman, right? And I think there was something to the whole Fredrin in the front, Estes and Farsa in the back. So I think that's where they'll adjust.
Yep, behind every strong jungler is a strong supporter. That's basically the statement coming out from Wise and All My Venus as well. Wise being the front line to tank all the hits, whereas All My Venus just heal him out of control. That's basically Blacklist International strategy. That is their brand, right?
Right, and now for RRQ, they require something playmaking heavy hero, because right now with the Lapu Lapu and Valentina, they can try and make an engage, make a pickoff, but obviously if they have something more reliable in their arsenal, that'll be great, and the mobility for sure, it's going to be Hilda again, and that's that Lancelot, man. Talk about mobility, get ready for Albert's Lancelot, man. We're in for a treat.
That's a classic.
Yeah, man.
I mean, almost synonymous with his name. Baby Alien picks up the Lancelot. And Oheb picks up the same hero. So I'm guessing now they've learned a lot from Game 1. Could this be the lineup? Again, it feels like it's deja vu, but could this be the lineup that breaks Blacklist's losing streak against Indonesian teams at M4?
It's crazy because it's the same exact lineup.
Literally.
Literally the same exact lineup. I guess they did find moments of success, and they probably feel like it's all down to execution, right? Both teams were flexing their quote-unquote mechanical skill. So I think Blacklist is thinking that, okay, this time we won't make that mistake. We'll be more prepared. We've seen it once, right? And they'll try and match it again. But of course, as Jace has been talking about, the drafting phase is so important right now. I don't think they can really afford to just go with the same draft again.
I feel like Blacklist International is just putting out a statement there. There's nothing wrong with what I'm doing. It's about the bans. Banning away the Fanny, banning away the Ling, banning away Joy. That's something that they did going into game number 2. That's a little bit of flexibility right there. But the Lancelot game, though.
Oh, yeah. We're going to be throwing over to our Bahasa counterparts as we march into the Land of Dawn. But for you guys watching at home, welcome. This is Game 2 of Blacklist International versus RRQ Hoshi. Look at this mirror start here. Baby Alien, Albert starting here as well. Wise. So, again, we can expect the early game to be very similar?
I think so. Both teams will just be trying to get their mid lane shoved in, get the jungle to start rolling, and now Lancelot against a Fredrin, right? Lancelot is very strong, a lot of output potential, but nowhere as oppressive as a Fanny in the early game, nowhere as much mobility. So maybe Blacklist can get a bit like a foot in the door right now to ensure that in the mid game they can actually get more success.
Well, my Venus already using the Aegis right off the bat, but I think it should be just in time for the turtle fight, right? But it's going to be a Blacklist International, right? Moving towards the gold side of the map. You want to make sure that Scarlet doesn't get the farm, make sure that Oheb gets enough pushing power.
Oh, the flicker from Haji there, so that's off timing, at least for this first turtle. But then again, if Game 1 is any indication, they're going to take their time with this turtle. I'm expecting at least maybe a purple delay play from Albert, and again, Wise is also taking his time, so we'll see if that timing falls into a place. 30 seconds until this first turtle spawns. That 1v1 between the Glue and the Lapu Lapu, we've seen it so much here at M4 so far. I'm thinking, what's Clay to steal? Oh, Albert coming in.
No, I don't think there's anything you can do. Haji just go into, pigeon farm, just fly away. It doesn't really matter. He doesn't really care.
Doesn't really care, but right on the top side, you can see RRQ pressuring the other side of the lane to try and make sure during the turtle take they have a lead. But even R7 now already very dangerously low. But Clay gets smacked with the Appraisal's Wrath.
That damage though, I wasn't expecting that. I was like, okay, I think he should be okay.
Clay was playing with fire there. I mean, if you were standing in front of Wise to get enough stacks to trigger Appraiser's Wrath that quickly, this Lord is just free for Blacklist.
There seems to be a free Lord.
Turtle.
Turtle.
We're jumping the guns right here, ladies and gents.
Exactly. Deja vu. That's what it does, right? Deja vu.
We're ready for that late game already. Unfortunately for both teams, the jungle has been relatively safe, but I have the feeling at level 6 or 7, that is about to change. Both teams understand that in the mid game, they have their own relative weapons in this fight, right? Blacklist has sustain and RRQ has burst damage, so we'll have to see how the execution plays in, as Edward actually disrupts Albert yet again.
Haji going in for the airstrike, gets cancelled by Bin for now. It's going to be Bin that got stuck on 3 people, but Bin will not be able to survive for now. It's going to be Clay leaning up towards, I'm not sure what he's going to do, but at the same time there's a fight happening out, but actually using the Phantom Execution to die on away, but Edward will be able to follow him.
2v1 here, Agent Zero walks away with impunity. No punish from RRQ Hoshi. Blacklist already 1,000 gold ahead here, 3 minutes in. A lot of outer church shields here taken out, so that means gold for Oheb up top. 3v3. Who's going to engage first? Oh, both are skittish to do it.
Both are skittish to do it because I think both don't really have a solid engage tool. Right now, it just seems like that is the play being made by Bin.
Oh, that's a lot of damage coming up from Bin. At the same time, it's going to be, my Bin is actually healing. The Tornado Power Memory doesn't do any damage from the side. Oheb at the same time, Oheb will actually try to push forward. That may have been the more than he could chew. He has to fall for his greediness.
The Filipino sniper gets punished hard there. Arashi, you were saying.
The Blessing of the Moon Goddess getting stolen by Clay allows them to sustain through the Feather Airstrike, and afterwards, it's just too much greed, but it's going to be the same story for Blacklist.
Bin involved. It's the same thing, but technically speaking, if you combine those 2 fights, but hold on a second, Wise. Oh no, he actually catches the taunt on top of Skylar, and he'll be no more. It's going to be Edward picking up a double kill at the same time. R7 coming in for the flank at the same time, but will not be able to find anything for now. Blacklist stabilizes.
It's a 5v4 situation with the second turtle spawning already. Still 2k ahead. Blacklist International, Wise pulling it away. Arashi, is this going to be a problem? Because I'm looking at RQ's lineup just now. I just noticed it's only Clay who's dealing magic damage.
I mean, Verden has a lot of magic damage, but on the note of damage, that is R7 getting taken out as well. Later on, it's going to be very easy for Blacklist to itemize against RRQ. And right now, it seems that they're having problems all across the map.
I think Albert is having a lot of problems. That is not a statement right there. Using the Thorn Rose, Edward possesses the machine.
That's just a tough situation for RRQ. Everyone on the side of Blacklist are just too tanky, and they're abusing it right now. They're standing in front of towers, but look at R7 going in alone.
Going alone is indeed the damage reduction coming in, but here comes the wall for the Say as well. But oh my goodness, actually healing. Haji is actually letting the fire on top of the drop of RRQ. It's up to Skyler trying to clean up. Fire coming in with the hunt, and will be able to pick up the double kill at the same time. Now Oh My Venus has to run away.
They're trading 2 bodies for a push down bottom, and the Queen stands alone. Arashi, tell me what is this going to do for the economy for Blacklist? Are they going to maintain this lead, or was that going to
Hello, the unit please. 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 Hello, the unit please.
Eventually, the team with the better late game is gonna win. And I can't help but feel that with a carry on your team, right? It's gonna be very scary trying to deal with him in the late game. Of course, Haji on the far side can just zone away Skylar in these big fights, but we've seen how chaotic the fights can get. So Blacklist needs to be very careful and make sure that they don't let RRQ get anything back.
Yeah, man, RRQ are doing what they can because this is Lancelot's debut. Vin! Obliges!
Oh, the big buzz, not enough. Unfortunately, we're going to Oheb will be the one that takes them in. Trading for the Roman for now. RRQ. It's going to be actually Clay that trying to heal up Skylar, but Edward's coming for the flank. He's looking for the food, and he's going to go into a split. But Oheb snipes him down.
2 for 1. Oh My Venus falls. I'd say with Turtle 10 seconds away, you have Clay out of the picture here. Blacklist has an advantage.
It's a huge advantage, and now Albert, he might try and go for a flashy play. Is it worth it though? There's so much burst damage in the hands of Blacklist. It's going to be very risky for him to even try anything. He might just be forced to let it go, but Edward will not let him go.
Something to note as well, in the roughly 7 minutes that this game has elapsed, rrq have not pushed a major objective yet.
A lot of damage coming over to Edward. He's just really trying to breach his first skill at the same time. Wise Horns going in. Albert was not able to find any form of entry, but Vin may be the one to be able to do that. But at the same time, it's going to all have actually take down the top side as well. Edward just really trying to time. He goes in the space as well, but runs into Edward as well. Haji, he's flying over, but not in just in time. The turtle will still get secured by Blacklist, but that's not enough. R7 looking for the engage. Wise, it's going to be a slow little collapse coming over Blacklist International. Haji, better airstrike going in. Bohem snipes down Clay, and they're trying to push mid lane.
Maximum range, torn apart memory there from Oheb, popping Clay wide open. They're gonna convert into. Is that a? That's.
Yep, that's
grab
a steal.
That purple. He stole it.
Purple stolen by Wise, and of course we saw earlier the turtle was stolen as well. This is a disaster coming in for rrq. This is to just losing their way. They have no idea what to do, and Blacklist are just getting stronger and stronger. And with the range available, torn apart memory and feathered airstrike, rrq, they're in a difficult spot right here.
This is literally Blacklist telling me, hey, I'm not the problem, you're the problem. I'm banning away your fanny, I'm banning away your leg. My composition is solid. This is that statement.
Yeah, no, they've converted these Ube engages into map presence, into siege balls for Haji and Oheb. Again, the Brody has to clear waves the old natural way, right? But with Oheb, again, as you say, Ooga Booga, I wreck turrets. That's what they've been doing here, which resulted in a 6K gold lead 8 minutes in.
That's the macro play we've been talking about. rrq, they don't only lose the objective, they lose members taken out by Blacklist, and they lose the tower on top side as well. And Blacklist are trying to push the tempo here, trying to make sure that the jungle is not safe.
But look at that flank. The pincer in, going in for the back line at the same time. Oh, he's actually trying to peel, but here comes the heal coming up from Clay. And also, oh my goodness as well. It's going to be Haji. Flicker right into bad spikes. The Fed actually will be able to take down one member on the side of rrq. It's going to be Wise and take down Clay at the same time. It's an unfair trade in the favor of Blacklist International.
2 for none, and boy oh boy, they have eyes on this mid lane tier 2. Lord, level 1, 10 seconds away from spawning. I must say, I love Clay, right? But I love him more when he's playing heroes with massive range. He made the Farsa work earlier. He had the range advantage. He knows when to hook. But with the Valentina, you have to be in your opponent's faces. And if you're facing off against Blacks International with 7K ahead, it's not an ideal situation.
If you're a squishy character right now,
no, the fight.
Oh,
the fight ensues as well. Vin managed to catch Haji for now. It's going to be, oh my goodness, to take out R7 at the same time. The damage coming up on Oheb. The door, the bomb memory coming out. We'll be able to input Vin into a body bag.
Arashi, you were saying if you're squishy, this is what happens right here.
Exactly. Burst damage coming in from all directions. Even Edward can delete you if you're too careless. And if you're now Clay and Skylar and Albert, they are all squishy and they are powerless to try and stop Blacklist from taking these objectives.
Did you see just Wise soloing that Lord on his own?
I did. I mean, it was off cam. It was on a small little screen, but yeah, I did.
Yep.
The world did.
That's just how dominant Blacklist is right now. 9K gold lead. We saw that they had an advantage in the previous game, but not like this. Look at the items right here. For Haji, with the Divine Glaive already prepared, that's a lot of burst damage. And if you are trying to just melt down this Edward on this glue, there's just not enough items. Corrosion Sight and Golden Staff done for Skylar. It won't be enough to just break through the Dominance Ice and the Tikiras as well.
Everyone across the board, say for Haji, has physical damage reduction. So that's why rrq Hoshi's engages are all the more, I guess at this point, trivial. It's so hard to define the finish.
I think the biggest problem is that if you take a look at Clay's items, right, that is not a very good item if you are a Valentina. Right now, Clay needs to try to steal the fair airstrike because Haji could always walk up and just basically zone it up, and here he goes. It is going to be rrq that's really trying to defend. Skylar at the bottom side clearing it out. The Lord is actually getting killed very, very slowly. Skylar putting on some damage. Blacklist, they touch and they go. They've already taken the prize.
Good news, bad news. Clay has a feathered airstrike right now.
Yeah.
Bad news is they're inside their base, so they can only really take advantage of it. It's a win-win for now, but if Blacklist can find that engage again, Wise has been their initiation like this.
And there we go. The better airstrike going in at the same time. It will not be able to control and crowd control and deny. The better airstrike is going to be Blacklist taking down the bottom lane turret at the same time. 4 member left. It is going to be Wise leading the pack, trying to charge. Albert trying to look for some lane right here to sing, but not being able to find anything for now. Oh my goodness, actually going in with the ultimate. Desperately, Blacklist is in a portable fountain.
They have 2 base turrets, and now they're going for the third. Trying to execute yet again, and RRQ, they are forced to respawn, but every time it happens, it's just the wrong respawn. It's R7 now taken very low, and Blacklist, they're looking for the end possibly.
Oh no, that's ults and battle spells spent by RRQ Hoshi. They're gonna have to defend.
They have to defend this. Vin is already here as well. Wise is already taunted as well, but Albert's looking a little bit torn about. Memory doesn't able to connect. It's gonna be Blacklist, but there is no minutes. That one wave marching down, a slow march as Clay. The battle of the battle airstrike. R7 trying to make a play. Will be able to find but will not be able to do so because Owen is desperately healing the bond. The core is getting back to the bond. Blacklist International. They're giving a statement. But Skylar, mega kill. Shuts down Edward. But look at the core. The HP is slowly. The defense coming through. But Blacklist International, they are still healthy.
3v4. RRQ Hoshi. 3 Kings standing. Down goes Clay. Make that 2v4. Can they defend? It's Skylar left. Defend. It's just Skylar.
It's just Skylar and RRQ. Blacklist International takes game number 2.
The curse has been broken. The streak ended. Blacklist International's first victory at M4 against an Indonesian team.
They double down and use the same exact draft, and they get it done. As you mentioned, Leo, just the bands have so much impact right here, and they have shown it. RRQ, they try and do the same thing, but they do not have the same tools. So they are expecting the same kind of result, but they are in for a rude awakening.
This is pure insanity, right? Like it's like trying something, they're trying the same thing again, but expecting different results. It's insanity.
They found a way to force RRQ Hoshi into this lineup. Again, taking away key heroes. No more Joy, no more Fanny. And in the debut of Lancelot on the world stage this year, it resulted in a loss. So this is a result of that insanity. This is a result of Blacklist International sticking to their guns and forcing RRQ Hoshi into this draft, into a Game 2 victory. Now, with that being said, before we go throw it over to our analysts, I'd like to remind everyone of the M4 Pass. It's available now. Complete all active tasks, and you will reach level 75 with ease and for free. Log in now and get exclusive rewards like the Beatrix Light Chaser and Stellar Brilliant skins, and of course the M4 Beatrix figurine. They're all waiting for you inside the pass. Use the hashtag Mobile Legends Bang Bang, hashtag MLBM4, and hashtag Dare to Be Great when you're talking about it on social media. The M4 Battle Night goes live on January 21st. Expect loads of events and rewards up for grabs in-game. First off, complete battle tasks in-game on January 21st to get a skin choice chest. You can choose the skin you like the most from said chest. Aside from that, battle bonuses await you in the same day. Play matches and you'll get this. Team star protection for 3 matches, double star raising points, double protection points, double EXP, and double battle BP for 5 matches. We're not stopping there. Free access to all heroes and loads of epic skins will also be available that same day. Save the date. Log in on January 21st and enjoy the matches you'll be playing and win tons of rewards. Let's all celebrate the M4 World Championships together. Call all your friends. It's a faster matchup, and again, we did not expect Blacklist to do so well against RRQ Hoshi after their loss 20 minutes into game number 2. What's the reset going to be like for RRQ Hoshi?
I think RRQ just need to relook at that Lancelot, right? I think giving Albert something that's very comfortable, but it's Blacklist's game to win in that particular game number 2.
And with that being said, we'll leave it to the analysts. Tell us what you think.
Well, what we think is the biggest question mark here. Same picks, different band, a world of difference. To talk about it, my name is Lopel, Naisu, as well as Strex. Guys, what do you guys think about the draft?
I mean, I'm really wondering, was game 1 just a test to see if they could withstand the Fanny in future games later on in this event? And the test was proven. Maybe they can't. So the question all reminds us, why did they ban the same well, why did they pick all the same things? Because I think those are the picks that they believe are exactly solid. And it turned out it worked against that draft.
I just think, I mean, looking at the draft, yes, it's the same for Blacklist International. And we talked about it earlier, right? They took out the Joy, they got rid of that, and they also took out the Fanny from Albert. And I feel like that was critical things here because it was a lot harder for RRQ to get in range
Yeah, I think that is kind of like the biggest thing we got to talk about, because right now, looking at the items, I kind of feel like everything is in order. I want to talk about the range difference between Blacklist International as well as RRQ, because R7, 0-4 and 3, he was the MVP just now, but he could not catch up to Haji.
Again, I think the biggest part here is, like you said, the range. Every time you saw R7, maybe even Vin, try to cut them off, try to jump in there with the bravest fighter, Haji, all he had to do was fly away, right? And then you have that sustain to work with you as well. And just the range. I mean, this time we saw Oheb really pop off on this Brody pick. And at Clay, right, with the Valentina, you've really got to get in range to be able to get the ultimate that you want. And he just didn't get the opportunity to do that.
Well, we got to look at the post statistics, because again, we got to look at all the damage coming out, because in the previous game, Oheb, he was the carry, he dealt the most. And right now, looks like it's the same thing, but this time, he's also the rich guy.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of Oheb, and you also mentioned range, Oheb also had a very decent range, and if they tried to dive onto him, he's able to hit that second skill, bounce away, bob and weave a little bit, and get that damage down. And once again, 812 gold per minute. That in itself speaks for itself, and he's able to secure that Hunter Strike, able to get even more speed to get his range away.
Looking at a team fight participation as well, Clay as well as Skylar, both of these guys try to keep dashing forward to get the kills onto Blacklist International, because in the early stages of the game, both Oheb as well as Skylar were very, very aggressive in securing those kills. But again, one of the difference makers is definitely Oh My Venus with the S's, because Skylar is more punished compared to Oheb.
Yeah, I mean, that was the thing, right? The sustainability. This is why we keep seeing that Estes pick. If teams can't work around that obstacle of the healing, just clumping together like that, it's really hard for them to come up with something. And then you kind of start seeing them get a little bit desperate, maybe a little flashy, right? Trying to pick up kills if they can. But it just didn't work in this game number 2. And now we're going to take a look at the MVP.
The MVP has got to be Oheb, 9-2-6, KDA, almost 80% kill participation. But I feel like the MVP play is that he dashes forward, he gets those kills, he trusts his teammates to always have that range advantage, to always cover for him when he makes a mistake. But it looks like he doesn't make a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, only 2 when we look at this, only 2, which is good on a world stage for sure. I mean, and as we said, to me, the build is pretty typical, right? We have the Hunter Strike, we have the Blade of Despair, and then a little bit of penetration to top it all off. Oheb once again just comes in super clean.
You know what's cool about Brody is, yeah, you kind of have to dash in to get the marks off, but then you have that really cool effect of dashing away, fade away, torn apart memory, and then you pick up the kills.
Right now, I want to look at the heat map, because this is actually very crucial in how the rotations coming in from Blacklist International from 5 minutes all the way to 10 minutes. The way that they move around the map is they dictate which lane is easier for them to win. They're going to stick around, make sure they get at least 2 objectives, which is the turrets, and then once they secure that, they're moving to a different lane. Where looking at this, they go to the mid, and then they try to dictate the gold lane, and then after 10 minutes, they go to the EXP. Right now, we got to look at the highlights in this game to really see what really happened throughout.
Well, again, part of this game, we're already jumping in. Look at the lead that Blacklist International has already, right? It's 1-7. They control so much of part of this map. And like you mentioned, you can see, right, RRQ is really trying hard to find those angles, find those moments where they can. But unfortunately, every single time they initiated, Blacklist International just had to pull back, heal up, and reinitiate themselves.
You also notice that they focused heavily into that gold lane early on in this game. And as we saw from the heat map as well, Oheb never had to go down. They had faith in Edward. And with this is what gives Oheb that scaling capability in here. Whenever they are a little too close and personal, the heal from Oh My Venus lets them resituate, move around, get more range, and then re-attack.
I gotta say, the SS is a big problem. Right now, RRQ Hoshi looking at this game, they gotta figure out how to actually make everyone from Blacklist International isolate themselves, because looking at the way that they're playing, Oheb feels a little bit too safe. Haji feels a little bit too safe, because Albert getting the landslide, he should be able to burst a lot of the more squishy players, but it really didn't work out on his favor.
You know what you do?
What you do?
You just ban out the Estes.
I mean,
they banned the Fanny. They banned out the Estes.
Sometimes it's as simple as that. Even in Malaysia, we're like, just ban the Estes. But with that being said, we got to go back to the host, where looks like the host is down here, and they got a lot to say. So, What do you have to say to the audience?
No doubt, Blacklist International and Rrq Hoshi have the most fans in Indonesia and in the Philippines. And here with us, superstars here in Indonesia.
For this upper bracket, kita punya memang ada artisnya, ada penyanyi, supermodel, YouTuber, dan langsung aja mereka hadir di sini untuk nonton bersama. Yeay!
Mantap.
Ada Miss Paula, Mbak Imbong, dan juga Kak Fatin.
This is such an intense match. How are you guys feeling right now? What do you think about the match?
Kita pakai bahasa Indonesia ya.
Bahasa Jawa juga boleh kok, Kak Baim.
Oke, nggak apa-apa, grammarnya jelek abisnya ya. Oke, pertama pasti tegang ya. Yang kedua juga yakin Indonesia akan menang.
He really make sure that Indonesia will win. It's Miss Paula.
Pastinya tenang, seneng banget dan excited banget. Jadi pokoknya Indonesia harus menang.
Happy, excited of course. Kalau Kak Fatin gimana nih? Apa rasanya?
Deg-degan banget ya nontonnya. Karena pertama kali nonton langsung juga. Dan tapi aku yakin banget Indonesia akan ngasih yang terbaik sih.
Okay, this is the first time that she watched the tournament on the stage and she was ready to watch Indonesia gonna win this match.
So we're even right now, 1-1. I think the Rrq Hoshi players need some message from you to pump them up. What do you gotta say?
Ada yang mau disampaikan gak sih buat anak-anak Rrq nih?
Rrq will win 3-1. Sorry ya, asik. Oke, 1, 2, 3. Viva! 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 Mantap!
Rame banget di sini. Dan
What about you? What's your message to them?
Of course ya, pokoknya
Oh, it's working.
it's working. Oke, lakukan yang terbaik, pokoknya kalahin
Blacklist.
Blacklist.
Okay, do the best and beat Blacklist. Kak Fatin ada yang mau disampaikan nggak? Atau mau nyanyi? Mau nyanyi nggak? Boleh nggak sih nyanyi?
Oke. Inilah akhirnya harus ku akhiri. Sebelum cintamu semakin dalam. Maafkan diriku memilih Rrq. Sebelum ku tahu cintamu lebih besar darinya.
Oh my God! Goosebumps!
How about one more time? Let's get everybody cheer. The whole crowd. When I say Viva, you say
Rrq!
Viva!
Rrq!
Viva!
Rrq!
One more time. Viva!
Rrq!
Let's get this game 3 started. Casters, tell us what you got.
Viva!
Oh, sorry, I was supposed to catch that.
Yeah, no, I'm still feeling the energy, all right? Welcome back to the desk. At your service, my name is Leo, here with Arashi and the Jays.
Get the order right, all right?
Yeah. And
It's
we're about
Jays
to
and
load
Arashi.
into game number 3. And with the same draft, Blacklist International has somewhat figured out how to take down and win in their first game so far in M4 against Indonesian squads. And now, with that being said, how will the King of Kings recover? We're about to find out. Let me remind everyone watching about the M4 pass available now. Complete all active tasks and you will reach level 75 with ease and for free. Log in now and get exclusive rewards such as the Beatrix Light Chaser and celebrating skins and the M4 Beatrix figurine. You can get all of that just by completing the pass in-game. Hashtag Mobile Legends Bang Bang, hashtag MLBBM4, and hashtag Dare to be great. The M4 Battle Night goes live as well this January 21st. Expect loads of events and rewards up for grabs in-game. First off, complete the battle tasks in-game on January 21st to get a skin choice chest. You can choose the skin you like the most from that chest. Aside from that, Got battle bonuses waiting for you. And get this, you can play matches to get team star protection for 3 matches, double star raising points, double protection points, double EXP, and double BP for 5 matches. We're not stopping there. Free access to all heroes and loads of epic skins will be up for grabs that very day. Save the date. Log in to MLBB on January 21st. Enjoy the matches and win tons of rewards. Let's all celebrate the M4 World Championships together. Call your friends. Now, with that being said, Jace, Arashi, I said that right.
Thank you.
Correct order. I believe with this series alone, we've broken records, all right?
Yes.
We've surpassed M3.
Yeah, man. This is a big celebration, right? Literally, it's something that we could also celebrate together during Battle Night as well. So thank you very much for all the viewers out there showing support. But of course, we will be going into the draw very soon, right, Leo?
Yep. The exact number is actually 3.7 million.
Wow.
All right?
We're not even at the grand finals yet.
Not yet. Again, we did say that this was a grand finals worthy match.
Yeah.
And we're breaking records. Previously, 3.19. And already, since after hitting 1-1, it's at 3.7 million. Arashi, this is amazing.
This is insane. I mean, who would have thought, right? Maybe in the grand finals we can break some records, but the fact that we're still, well, we're kind of close, but it feels so far away from it, and we're already breaking records. This M4 has been insane, man.
Well, this is for you guys watching at home, and for everyone here at Tennis Indoor Sinayan, go ahead, claim this milestone redeem code M4 Dare to Be Great for goodies and rewards in-game for all of you supporting our great sport. Now, talking about Game 3 here, how do you think RRQ Hoshi resets? What do? Do they try to take Blacklist off of this lineup? Because it seems like, I mean, if it works, it's amazing.
Yeah, I think RRQ right now needs to take some parts of this lineup away. I'm looking at either the glue, either the Farsa, or either the Frazier, because Blacklist International, this insanity cannot be allowed to continue.
I mean, honestly, if RRQ can get similar weapons to just dive into the back line, maybe they can still have a bit more of an advantage. And of course, they require a bit of an engage tool, because we saw that in game number 1, it's all R7, it's all flanking maneuvers. In game number 2, you see very little of that. Yes, we did see that Vin goes in from the back, trying to flank, but it's just not nearly enough. It's not decisive enough, right? He doesn't have the speed, the gap closers, the damage that R7 had in game number 1. So if they can get something similar, they can go for it again. But unless they can do that, I think they should try and adapt and do something different.
Pak Maslimta, I agree with you. All right? That's about 100% true, because watching game 1 and game 2, you had R7 on the Joy, Hilda on Vin, and that was already enough to break the Ube. Here in game 2, there was almost nobody trying to break the Ube, if anything. So going into game 3, that should be key. Again, a quick recap of how game 2 went down. Skylar was doing a lot on that carry, but only so much, right? I mean, Clay dealt more damage, good AoE. On the other hand, Oheb, this is when Ube works. Ube works its best this way, when Oheb can do everything he wants for free, rough shot.
I mean, just so much damage, and he is so secure because he also has that very reliable self-peel. And in contrast, you see that RRQ, their main damage dealers kind of struggle to match that kind of performance. Even Albert has just such low damage here. He dealt less damage than R7. So clearly, something needs to change. He needs a bit more backup, or he needs a bit more utility, some more tools to try and enable him. Because given the right circumstances and the right tools, we have seen that Albert's Lancelot is just insane.
Yeah, but I was kind of a little bit, I was expecting more, not gonna lie. Because Albert, known for his mechanical skills, known for all these flashy Albert plays, known for all these Lancelot plays, right? But it just fall flat. And as RRQ being a very momentum-based kind of team, and then getting beaten by the same exact draw by Blacklist, I don't know what to feel about the mental, man.
Yeah, and if you're speaking about mental, I believe that's one thing that R7 may have over Edward. As much as I love Agent Zero, the relentless one, team captain for RRQ Hoshi, it doesn't show on stats. You can't put a number on how relentless someone is. But if it comes down to engaging, that's what R7 has over Edward, despite Edward having the numbers advantage.
Right, R7 is just a lot more dynamic. This is something he's already infamous for, just showing up behind you out of nowhere, and it's something that RRQ just puts to good use every single time. It's part of their core identity right now. But on the topic of Albert's Lancelot again, Jace, I think it's just very difficult because we already mentioned, Leo, early on that there's very limited amounts of magical damage coming in from the squad of RRQ. So you saw the items coming in from Blacklist International, and they all itemized for physical defense, and that just shuts down Albert completely, because in the early game, on an assassin, if you don't have enough penetration, then you can't burst anyone down.
And at that point, you're chasing, right? You're a step behind.
Yep.
Because you're solving a problem that's already present. Now, what I'm thinking is, are there enough junglers that are magic-based that maybe Albert can pick up, that plays to his advantages? Can the baby alien get a hero that will still fit the bill and do the job for RRQ Hoshi?
Joy jungle?
But it was banned.
Yeah, or it needs to be counterpicked.
Guinevere?
Oh, no, don't give RRQ Hoshi ideas.
Too spicy?
I think it's a little bit spicy, but I think that could be because of the flicker buff recently, right? Because Guinevere can have more range right now, but we gotta go.
Yeah, we're seconds into game number 3, and everyone here in Tennis Indoor Sinayan can't wait. Things are about to get gila bangit, because of course, if it's the King of Kings versus the defending champions, how can we expect any less? It's RRQ Hoshi still remaining on the play while Blacks International remains on the red side. There's the Benedetta. There's the Farsa taken out by RRQ Hoshi as well as the carry, while Blacklist takes out the 1-1 and the Franco. Expecting maybe here a Joy? Should that be their priority?
They have banned the 1-1 and the Franco twice, the first and second game.
Yep.
Joy comes in the second game, and here I think it's still a very valuable ban to be applied here, because of course it can go in the hands of R7, but it can go in the hands of Albert as well potentially. It's just such a flexible hero, and I don't think Blacklist want to deal with that.
I think right now is the fact that it feels like the pattern right here from the side of Blacklist International. 1-1, Franco ban. Like what you say, Narashi, 2 games in a row, Joy definitely should be going right there. But I think if you are RRQ right now, I think you really have to prioritize that Fanny pick right off the bat in the first pick phase.
So right here, first pick. If this is the Fanny, how does Blacklist oblige, right? Also still open. The Eve, for the first time in a while, Eve is open.
Eve is available, but it's very situational. I mean, of course it has great poke, great utility, and it does seem like Clay will pick it up.
I know my Clay, bro. I know my Clay.
Exactly.
You know, you molded the Clay into a pot, and he will come out with that Eve. But that is also something I've seen how you can deal with this Eve before, you know, with the Fanny coming out. But I don't think Wise is the kind of jungler that will go in with this Fanny picks, right? I think he likes, you know, those Barats, the Baxia. I think those are something that we could definitely look out for.
Yeah, you mentioned Baxia, and I'm looking at how Blacklist will build that box. Because again, despite not having a Farsa, despite not having an Eve, they find a way to do that, and that's where they relish, when they're able to say where the fight happens and how the engages come through. That's why the Fredrin is such a key hero for them. Now, after the Eve, they answer back with a glue, possible answer, and this opens up a Claude, an early marksman, a first in the series.
It's very, very early of a pick. And honestly, the glue pick seems to be very prioritized by Blacklist, but of course it has been working out. Although he needs to be careful, because right now with Yves on the opposing team, there's a chance that he will rush that glowing wand, and that will just spell a lot of damage for the beefier members like a Glue and like probably a Fredrin or an Estes, like we've seen in game number 1 and 2.
And here's the comeback of a hero that has made quite the impact in M4. There's the Grok. Great flex though, at least for RRQ Hoshi at this point. And then the Fanny, the trademark hero for Albert. Here's a quick quote by the man you see on screen, a world championship coach, Bonchan. I hope he can change the fate of RRQ, or maybe that's what he wants. The same thing that happened in M3. He's talking about his counterpart in RRQ Hoshi, Coach Arcadia.
Yeah, it feels like the battle of the coaches right here, right? Especially prominent in this method. I started off the series, I'm telling you guys, this is basically down to the draw. Game number 2 is a clear evidence of that. Blacklist International doesn't really need to change the roster, just need to change the bands and see how much difference it makes.
They're answering that question. They're putting in the mold that will fill that void with a Valentina. So what's Haji stealing so far? Hell, I'm not even so sure if it's on Haji, because Wise has been known to bring this into the jungle. He has a real world manipulation. He has a wild charge. what else?
Yeah, and right out the bat, you already answered the question that you ask yourself. But I really have to agree, the wild charge steal from the side of this Valentina is going to change the game so much, especially when, you know, Albert would definitely cable to a wall, right? That Grok will want to just wild charge you right into that wall, Arashi.
Well, we'll have to see. I feel like even though this is how it looks, it seems pretty solid for Blacklist, they still require some kind of crowd control, not only for the Fanny. I think later on, once the Grok wants to try and engage, maybe they can try and deter that as well. But the next band that they pick is going to be the Harriet, so trying to make sure that the DPS output coming in from the side of RRQ is, I guess, limited, especially because Harriet is survivable and can do a lot of AoE aside from just DPS.
Already what we're seeing from the RRQ Hoshi lineup is their box is just amazing, right? You're able to put up Guardian's barriers to say up to where the opponents can go or where you want them to stay, and then you have the rule manipulation, and then Albert cleans up. By banning out the Harith, you take out one more factor, one more possible war zone that RRQ can say, because if the Zaman Force drops and it's Skylar on the offensive, best believe bodies are dropping.
Yeah, definitely. And not only just that, with the Yi going into play as well, it will be literally raining damage and big burn. Now that's a card that gets taken away by Blacklist. Another thing I also have to point out, RRQ very strong in this Fanny pick. If you notice how Albert plays the Fanny, right, was able to find the right target in the midst of chaos. I think that is something that I think Blacklist International have to start respecting.
Yep, and going into the final phase, Arashi, what are they going to get here? Because I'm not so sure where the Valentina goes.
I'm really thinking that there's going to be crowd control for sure, but maybe it's a Fredrin. We've seen that for sure. But I'm wondering, with that Fanny in particular, are they going to try and get heroes that can deny dashes, like the Mincetar, like the Kufra? I mean, it's a solution we've seen some teams explore, but I'm not sure if Blacklist likes doing those out-of-box picks. I feel like they'll rather just go for their own normal picks and try and manage it through execution instead.
Oh, I think this kind of spells it out.
Yeah.
The Fredrin will clearly go into the jungle, while the Valentina stays in mid. We still don't have a hero for the Queen, and again, with that Valentina going head-to-head against Clay's 100% win rate Eve, I think it's a safer bet that they put this Fredrin in the jungle.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like the Fredrin pick is also quite a good idea, especially when, you know, you got defender that needs to bypass you or somehow, right, through the cables. If you can time it just right, the taunt will be a very big hard CC towards this Fanny. I think the question from the side, I think Arashi pointed out very interestingly, Mincetar is something that Blacklist International can definitely explore, but is it All My Venus's identity? But before we can answer that question, it's going to be a Lunox getting locked in for the side of RRQ. That's a lot of magic damage, if you ask me, coming out from the side of RRQ, ending the draft with that Kufra as well.
Wow, this is a confusing, I would say kind of confusing to me, but now with the Lolita as well, it does seem like it's going to be a bit of a front-to-back situation, but of course, with Albert here being an assassin, that will be the X factor. If he can delete Ohab or Haji, that means that RRQ can get into a fight with an innate advantage, and that is a possibility that Blacklist do not have in their hands.
Yeah, I think right now, right, if you notice how Blacklist is doing this, I think they're putting a lot of chips into, they're literally going all in with getting Claude to scale, getting Valentina to scale, right? These two are your main damage dealer. You're not expecting a lot of damage from the other side of the team. However, something to also take note of is the Kufra could always easily cancel the Luminum Blast from the Lolita. Not only just that, the Grok can also easily cancel it off. And I think that's about all my Venus positioning going into the game.
Yeah, RRQ Hoshi coming in. It's clear they want to win team fights. It's clear they want to engage and then capitalize and then convert. How will Blacklist play around? Ladies and gentlemen, let's go into game number 3. Audio in at the stadium, throwing over to our Bahasa counterparts. For y'all watching at home, welcome. This is game number 3. RRQ Hoshi versus Blacklist International. It's a mirror start, purple for purple.
Purple for purple. I mean, that's why it's important. Of course, in the early game, the cooldown will just make a big difference. For Albert in particular, though, on the Fanny, right, this is one of the main buffs, so he needs to make sure that he can get it without any interruption.
I think something very interesting throughout this whole series thus far, right? All My Venus has focused a lot of focus on Haji instead of Ohab. Ohab, I think he should be able to handle the Lunox earlier in terms of the level, but because the Lunok's being brought into the gold lane, it's not 4 minutes problem, it's a 3-minute problem. So the heal coming out from Skylar's first skill will be a little bit skewed towards, but it's a lot of damage. 3 members already at the bottom side. Vin get terrified a little bit. No biggie for RRQ for now.
Yeah, no, this is very similar to game 2. Again, how Blacklist International put the pedal to the metal early on and spent battle spells as they should to better time that first turtle take. We're about a minute away, 50 seconds before that happens. And I have eyes on Albert because this is a huge presence they have in bottom lane.
Yeah, I feel like right here, the first 2 games, they're focused a lot on the mid lane, but now, oh my Venus using the flicker for now. Albert actually stunned Albert. Albert does have the ultimate this time around activated, but no kills for now. Blacklist International will side for relief.
They're trying to actually collapse on this bottom side, but of course the turtle is on the top side, so Albert goes in aggressively. He is all alone though. This might be a mistake.
A missed cable, but Albert managed to get out just nice. A lot of focus happening at the bottom lane. Skylar will be the one that we had focus on. Skylar burned off the flicker right off the bat for now. Blacklist 3 members at the bottom lane, but Fanny is slowly working towards the turtle pit.
Yep, that's key battle spells spent at least maybe seconds before this turtle, and it looks like they come to a gentleman's agreement. All right, we get purple first, both of us, and then we try to contest.
I mean, Skylar on this Lunok, right? This is what makes it a deceptively good pick. There's good sustain, good outplay potential. He's going 1v1 against Oheb right here. Ooh.
I can see the beauty of this right now. Skylar going in. Oh, will not be able to miss a shot. Skylar will not be taking down his counterpart just yet.
Oh, Vin at about half health here at level 4 already. Oh my Venus not hitting that quite yet because the Queen has been left to, again, babysit so much of mid and bottom. And with that being said, top lane.
Top lane spins to win, but Edward will be the one that wins it away. So a little bit of a Mexican standoff. A very slow early game, if you ask me, ladies and gents.
It's a tough situation for RRQ because compared to game number 1, they don't really have a lot of targets that they can just burst down, like we saw to get Albert snowballing. Edward is just tanky, he can run away. Haji is relatively mobile as well, and right now they're going for the turtle play.
Real War managed to go in, the liminal charges. It's going to be the Boomer Bracket hits now. This 2 crazy Real War manipulations putting out down the damage, but it's going to be Edward that picks up the first blood for now.
Oh, Edward forcing Clay to flicker underneath that turret. Crystal Boy keeping him where he is, but all this time, it's Blacklist who has their eyes on the bigger picture. A clear lead already, 3 minutes in, 1,000 gold. Arashi, what are they doing with that gold?
Clay is building towards mana regeneration. He definitely wants to be able to clear this wave, and Albert just comes in with some swag. Won't be enough right here. And as you can see, Skylar with the mana boots as well. He just must try and sustain in the lane, play it safe, try and avoid the ganks when possible. And on the other side, Blacklist, you can see, starts itemizing for physical defense. Again, trying to counter, ensuring that Albert does not get to snowball, because that is a big factor for RRQ's victory.
Something interesting right here. Oh, that's a wall charge already used, right? On top of Edward, but Edward just walks away, scoff it off like a boss. But hold on a second, Real War manipulation coming down. Limit number charges. Albert will be able to pick up the bubble for now. Haji will respond to the same. Vin coming in, just bouncing around. Alzheimer's revenge going in. It's a choke point in the side of the map for RRQ. And right now, Blacklist International picks up the double kill at the same time. Albert trying to spin the win, but we'll be able to take out the Queen for now. It's going to be the Roma. Traded for 2 members, but Wise is not putting out just yet. Edward picks out R7.
What's impressive is the fact that Haji did not die. I could have sworn his Valentina was going to bite it. But again, that's just what happens when you're the KDA machine. This young man has been playing jungle for a while. His career started that way, and that's what explains his mechanics. Speaking of mechanics, Albert looking for one up top.
Not enough damage, I don't think so. Edward may have goes in the split just right in time. Albert will be getting out. Lumina Blast, no! Skylar has to burn the flicker and an ultimate just to get out of there.
Arashi, second turtle, spawning in about 5 seconds. Who has the advantage?
I think Blacklist definitely has an advantage right now. 3K does not seem like much, but it does make a difference. And they have the pressure because we've seen that they are the ones being more successful in these big fights. They are the ones that have the beefier members that have been able to survive most of the damage. And RRQ, they have to be careful because Clay and Albert has been the main target.
Albert's in the vicinity as well. Wise will be the one that wins the retribution method for now. It's going to be Haji letting down the fire. Would not be able to stun RRQ for now. Blacklist International to pick up their prize and to walk away.
It's a bit curious right here because usually when we see Clay play the Eve against a Valentina, he is very careful in letting that Valentina steal the real manipulation. In this game though, Haji has been very active using that to spell demise for RRQ. It's just quite the interesting situation. I wonder what exactly is causing this. But as we look at the items right here, OHAB already has the Demon Hunter sword, so the frontliners, Vin as well as R7, are going to be a bit squishier in his eyes. So that is something that we have to be careful about.
Will not be able to activate the real one manipulation in time. That's another kill. Giving over the time to Blacklist, but Albert trying to spin. Will not be able to find a kill. Unfortunate for RRQ.
That was oats and a chicken sandwich thrown in there to take down one. Whoa. But it's not done.
It's not going to be enough. It's going to be Haji. Will not be able to push Vin right into the wall. Blacklist International walks away alive.
That's a tough situation, man. We said RRQ has no targets on the side of Blacklist International, but the opposite is not true at all. If Clay gets hit by any kind of crowd control, the follow-up is more than enough to ensure that he gets taken out. So he is a sitting duck for the members of Blacklist International.
You know who's a sitting duck? Oh my Venus. Concealed right out of there. Albert, just not enough damage.
You mean invisible duck? Conceal play, saving the queen there. And again, it just shows that RRQ Hoshi, at this point in the game, mid-game, 6 minutes, 7 minutes approaching, they need to shrink this 4K gold lead. And they're doing their best, right? They're finding things on the map, and it's come to the point where Wise can steal buffs away from Albert. This is a difficult place to be for the baby alien.
I think right now, just RRQ unable to use Albert to find a pickoff. Another thing that we also need to take note of is Skylar 000, right? Going into the clock item as the first item, he needs more time to get more damage to rack out. But once he gets that threshold, you expect Wise to get chunked down very quickly.
Later on, though, it's going to be a moment where the Lunos will do a lot of damage. Look at the glass!
Go all the way in. It's going to be R7 wall charge. The Blazing Duet going over the back line. It's going to be Haji reborn the same. The turtle is actually forgotten by both these two teams. But Albert is actually the one that follows Skylar following suit. Wise will also pick up Skylar as for free. And they will go ahead and try to crack the mid lane open and then rotate over to the turtle.
That choke point became their demise. RRQ Hoshi giving 3 members away for free. The Blacklist. That load lead just astronomical at this point. 8 minutes in, about 7K. This last turtle going for free to Wise, and the map is red.
It's just it's so sad for RRQ. They tried to make the play happen, but they get comboed instead. I was about to say that later on, there'll be an extra factor in Skylar being a big problem for Blacklist. But before that can even happen, Blacklist seems to be trying to end the game early. Make sure that the gold lead is just too big.
I saw that, right? You saw that, right? It's so weird. Albert was trying to invade, take the purple buff. Don't forget, a Fanny without a purple buff is basically playing the game with half your hand. Albert is doing exactly that.
Well, where did the purple buff go is my question. Now it's Wise's turn to do the same. And this time he gets it. No orange for you, sir. Not today. Let's look at the items here. About 9 minutes in. What's going on here, Arashi? Can we expect Skylar to come online soon?
Well, on the other side, OHAB already has the golden staff, so things looking more difficult for him. And Skylar is still so far away from his power spikes. It's going to take a bit longer, man.
Domino Blast across the wall for now. There's the flicker going in. We'll be able to catch Vin at the same time. Real Woman manipulation coming off for Clay. Providing some support as well. R7 will not be able to find anything at all. Actually, will be the one first fall. But Skylar, here comes the Blazing Duet coming off. We'll be able to pick up R7 in the back line. But unfortunately, Skylar will be able to return that trade. 2 damage dealers for just a Arc and also the Kufra.
A relatively messy team fight. They engaged with Valentina, Haji getting the wild charge, and was taken down even before it made a difference. So with that being said, where does RRQ Hoshi go this time around, Arashi? What does Albert do?
Albert needs to just be a nuisance right here. There's no real easy target he can just one-shot. So if he just splits the map around, making sure that the members of Blacklist are constantly worried about him moving in out of nowhere, he can allow the rest of the team to just do damage, because we saw that Skylar, despite only having a Clock of Destiny, is beginning to do a lot more damage. So, yeah.
Personally, I feel like, guys, Albert has been going out without purple buff. Hold on a second, he may actually be able to do something for now. Skylar will be able to shred all my bidders in the back line at the same time. Skylar almost close to take down Haji though. But back to my point, I think Albert has gone 3 minutes without a purple buff. And look what Blacklist is doing.
They're just starving him.
Yeah.
That's key. And again, if his goal is to split up the map and maybe pick up a purple along the way, then that's just gravy on top, right? And they're not out of the woods just yet. There's a small win here that they're looking at, a possible push up top.
I think, ladies and gentlemen, we got to take a look back at this game. If you notice Blacklist International, Blacklist International, they did not clear the purple buff. If you notice, the purple buff is there, but it's only that small little dude, right? Right now, what Blacklist International is doing is basically starving out. There's only one purple on the map.
Oh, and they've turned it into a bait? Because look, they're engaging.
Look, they're engaging for now. It's going to be Albert this time around, unable to secure the purple buff for now. It's going to be Min that actually falls. Engage coming up from RRQ. Skylar is trying to be doing some damage by the backline, but will not be able to find it. R7 going in. The Blazing Duet coming in the backline. The Lumen of Blast charges will not be able to connect on top of Skylar for now. Albert coming in for sweep. Haji will be the first team to fall, coming up from Blacklist alongside with Haji.
2 for 2, and just like that, key members going down. Vin and R7, while Blacks International, I wonder who made this call. I'm pretty sure it's the Queen. They go straight for the Lord.
Straight for the Lord. Albert is trying to make a play happen here. He is alone. He's actually 3v3.
He does have the retribution, ladies and gents. It's all about the retribution. Albert will not be able to do so. He will lose it live to the Queen.
Instantaneous punish. Arashi, what's RRQ Hoshi to do?
They have to play more conservative, man. I think that when they try and counter-engage with the wild charge, they're finding a lot more success, but Blacklist is just not letting them breathe at all. Right now, RRQ are trying their best to clear the waves, and if you look at Skylar, the damage is starting to build up. He has a Divine Glaive, and if you look at R7, he has a Blade of Despair as well. So the damage is available, it just needs to land on the right person. But of course, Oheb already has the Athena shield as well. Unwilling to ensure that he does not get shut down, get picked off by the members of RRQ.
Game 2 draft, again, it was so easy for Blacklist to defend. Again, just build physical defense. But now I'm liking the damage coverage. There's a good amount of magic, good amount of physical, especially from R7. I am afraid to walk into his grok in a dark alley at night. But now it looks like the choke is continuing. No purple for you, says Blacklist, as they go ahead and pressure all lanes. The map is turning red. The strength of the Fanny is being quelled. Usually you're so mobile, now you're stuck in your base.
Yeah.
I feel for the baby alien.
It feels bad, man. Albert had a wonderful game number 1 with the Fanny, and I think Blacklist International, that's just ingenious the way they starve out the map, right? Right now, if you notice, there's no 2 purple buff. There's only 1 purple buff in this whole land of Dawn, and this is insane strategy coming out from Blacklist.
What's very difficult for RRQ right now is also the fact that Clay is very, very behind. He finally now builds the glowing wand, so this will be a big factor. Multiple instances of damage will be buffed by that item, so in these fights, if it draws on for long enough, there's going to be a lot of extra damage coming in from that Eve, and also a lot of percentage HP damage coming in towards Edward, Wise, and Venus. So we'll have to see if that will be enough for RRQ to win the next team fight. I think they have to play it a lot slower for just a bit longer, man. They need items to ensure that they have even a chance of making a comeback.
Yeah, about a minute before the Lord spawns, so that should be a good indicator. Should be a nice way to say, you know what, we'll wait for that Lord, and then we'll make a play. Looking at the players' gold here, Skylar, at least the gold is going to the right people for RRQ Hoshi, right? It's going to their gold laner, and I'm still waiting. We saw a little bit of that taste. And Jace, you're right, man. Oh, Bert comes here, like, oh no, that's miserable. They left a tiny one for me.
Yeah, and the worst part is it's going to be Wise already at the purple buff. Basically, Blacklist reading RRQ's movement like an open book. There's nowhere that Albert will be able to do anything. Once again, Wise in the purple buff away from RRQ.
I mean, Blacklist are moving so well, and RRQ are trying to get a pick off, but when you have a Kufa as your main engage tool, it's very one-dimensional. As long as the front line does not leave any gaps for the Kufa to dash into, the backline, Oheb, and Haji is relatively safe.
Oh, that's a strike coming out from Skylar. There's a lot of damage going in. Edward is desperately trying to survive, but here comes Oheb as well. He's laying down. The BMI doesn't even well, but Haji will be able to come in the first kill. Haji in will be able to delete Haji right over the back. Oh my goodness, charges. It's going to be the pin stuck right in the bouncing ball, and now it's going to be Blacklist. They do have Oheb, and they'll push on the back, and R7 will fall. 3 members falling just for the cost of Haji.
The KDA machine takes 3 down along with him, and Blacks International is ripe for the pick, and they can do anything they want. Force an inhibitor, take Lord here, that is Luminous. Arashi, what's the best call?
They have to try and clear the wave as much as possible. I mean, Albert has already tried and done that, but in the bottom side, 3 members of Blacklist trying to make sure that they can do something.
Manipulation, Oheb is already half HP. He has to slow down Clay. That's only person that actually defends for now, but at the same time, Wise starts down the Lord.
It's a 1v1 that Wise has started.
Albert.
And it looks like he can. Albert!
Albert will not be able to connect. The split. Unfortunate passive is not full enough for Edward to jump on top, but it's already Wise already on the job right here, putting down some damage on top of the Lord. It's going to be a free Lord over to Blacklist International.
So much pressure coming from Blacklist, and they waste no time at all. Getting the Lord, they go for the purple buff yet again. Oh, Luminum Blast charged up.
Luminum Blast gets cancelled, but that is okay because Haji can also engage for Blacklist International. Finn catches Wise, but oh my god, Albert cannot do anything for now. Blacklist International will push up their advantage, but they have another Lord marching down bot.
Just as quickly as Albert cabled on through, he says, nope, never mind. That's 5 members of Blacklist I could be walking into. Looking at the items here, Blacks International, they're at the 52k threshold. Give them maybe 10 more, 15 more, they should start building into everything and they can juggle. RRQ Hoshi, I'm seeing some blanks for Skylar, even Clay. So again, they have to extend that limit wherein that magic damage is going to hurt Arashi.
Yeah. Exactly.
Lord charging in, Ohab has to be MI all the way out. The damage has been down for the side of Blacklist International. There's some free Lord marching in from the bottom side. Clay force the real one manipulation going all the way up. No damage, no follow-up coming up from Blacklist. They will take what they can, take down bottom lane.
They're able to get the bottom side turret, and now they're just playing it very, very patient. They understand that they don't have to do anything extraordinary. If they just play calm and calculated, they are set for success with a 12k gold lead right now. And as you mentioned, Leo, the magic damage is going to start to hurt, but if you look at Blacklist items, they are Radiant Armors and Athena shields all over the place. They are well prepared for those late game team fights.
So it's going to come down to utility, right? It's going to come down to what you got. Not, well, both. What you got and how you use it, right? It's about the engagement, and maybe that's where Vin is going to be more important. They forced out a flicker from Clay this early on.
I think the most important thing is how Blacklist has full control, and look at what they're doing right now. He's leaving a free, gift behind for Albert. Albert's not going to do anything. He is now, unfortunately, it hurts to say this, guys, Albert is just a split push minion.
Yeah, no, because of the fact that there's 2 Lords for Blacklist so far in this 18-minute game, we're approaching that. The waves are just so much more powerful.
Albert, that's a very dangerous neighbor for Will. He has the cable all the way out. Blacklist International actually putting up some damage from the side, but Luminum Blast actually charge out. R7 using the wall charge again on the way. They don't want to engage Blacklist in this form.
And now Blacklist uses a bunch of ultimates. The Lord fortunately is not up, but RRQ, they understand that they have an opportunity here, a small window where Venus does not have the Luminum Blast. They might just get emboldened by it. They might be looking for a chance to try and make something happen, but of course Blacklist already just waiting, setting up traps around the map for the members of RRQ.
What's this last item that Clay is building towards? Could that possibly be necklace or
Winter?
Winter?
Winter Truncheon?
I feel like you would just, at this point, require a lot more damage.
Yeah.
I think the Holy Crystal would make sense, but we'll just have to see, man. It all depends on how the game progresses. And now with the Lord up, Blacklist yet again is pushing the tempo, and RRQ might be forced to engage onto one of the tankier members of the front. That is not what they want.
Do they know this? There's 3 members of Blacklist up there. Is there vision on this? Because this rotation could be lethal. And I'm talking about both of them. This could have been a map absence from Blacklist, but no, they're looking for an answer. They're just making sure that they choke away the purple.
The lack of information is hurting, especially RRQ, but at the same time, Edward tries to buy some time. Albert is the one that gets stunned out. He has a cable all the way out of there. Blacklist International, they're looking for the hunt. They're looking for the assassin from the side of RRQ. Nothing to be found right there. The Luminous Blast lands on top of the Kufra, but would that be enough though? Blacklist International, I think they could spend it too much, and Vin jumps all the way in. The real wall manipulation, but that's a nice iron ultimate coming up from Vin. Hopefully to try to change the game around. Skylar will be able to take down OM, and Blacklist International may have overstayed their welcome. Edward desperately trying to do some damage to the R7, actually possessing for now. I think Blacklist International can overstay their welcome.
That was a 1-for-1 in the end, right? Gold laner for gold laner. And if you're 10k behind, 11k behind, I see that as a win. RRQ Hoshi, they walked into that fight with conviction, and they walked away with a small win.
Right now, Lord, 4v4 fight. Skylar, both gold laners. There's no pushing power coming out. It's up to Vin to try to set this up.
Oh, Vin is trying to make the engage happen, but that's a lot of damage being traded on back to him. Look at Omar, Vin is making the play work.
Luminous Blast going in. It's going to be the wall being built by the side of R7. And we're trying to be a nuisance right here, but he's dragging the Vin towards it. Wise is actually working on top of the Lord. But now Albert trying to spin. Clay, he has a damage. He takes down the Valentina. And now it's going to be is desperately trying to do some damage control. OHEB just respawn. He is trying to make a beeline, but here comes R7 World Charge. Looking 2 members out from the side of Blacklist. It's going to be a back-to-back fight at the Lord Pit.
It's a 4v5 right now, 20 minutes in. Every single death is painful. Every death timer will be upwards of a minute if you make the wrong mistake, right? So this is very dangerous. RRQ Hoshi have found a window.
Finn charging out all the way up. Oh my goodness, there's nowhere to be there. Wise is actually going in to activate the window corner already. It's going to be Albert trying to look for something up right there, but the wall is actually blocking OM. And these goes. The Clay coming in with the wall manipulation. Wise has to run away. OM and the back line with the blessing to win. Not good enough, but will be good enough to take down R7 for now. It's got a shoot in the midst right there. He does have the Chaos Assault, but he has to bomb the Venus at the same time. So my goodness, that's what we're trying to stun. Finn will try to push a scrappy fight for both teams.
2 for 1. I was just talking about death timers, and that's about 40 and 50 for Vin and R7. It's a 3v5 for the next 30 seconds.
It's 4 members of Blacklist against RRQ, who do not have a frontliner. That is a dangerous game they're playing right now. Unfortunately for RRQ, the waves are still pushing in their favor, so they have a bit of a window, but Blacklist will not stay silent for long. They're already trying to get control in the Lord Pit, and R7 still 15 minutes away from respawning. Blacklist might just force it, or they might just bait a fight for RRQ.
Fun fact, ladies and gents, Albert finally got his purple buff, right? Now he's actually playing the game. Blacklist, on the other hand, you know, they've got Wise coming back up. RRQ, they know they cannot accept this fight. They've got 2 members down. Clay reward manipulation is available, but I don't think they can do anything for now.
They send Albert home at half health. Charge up some energy.
And word flicker, Clay will get possessed. Oh no, real one manipulation go in. Albert is really trying to go in the save. Haji will be taking the real one manipulation away from the side of Clay. He will be responding, but the main prize right here is Wise. Focusing on the Lord instead. Haji will be able to take down Clay. Shot! Oh, that's great. Oh, the Lord. It's crazy games coming out from RRQ. But Blacklist International, they're not giving up. They will take the fight with the trigger going in. It's going to already go. It's going to be the living of last country. Members of RRQ, it's going to be Albert that's trying to defend. But RRQ, they took the Lord.
5v1. This is a dangerous place to be. They pop the immortality on Baby Alien, and they're going to ride this minion. It's just 1 minion. Is this
just
enough?
2 minutes from Blacklist International. They take game number 3.
Match point, ladies and gentlemen. Match point for the world champions, and the King of Kings in home court are sweating the kingdom all over, sweating. Arashi, this is recovery. This is a streak broken. This is Blacklist.
This is Blacklist, and now RRQ with their backs against the wall. They need to find something that works, and they need to find it fast. Blacklist, they're just so calm and calculated. Even when RRQ are able to do the signature maneuvers and make the fight messy, Blacklist have figured out how to survive the initial ambush, and they have come back stronger than ever. This is a big problem for RRQ right now.
I feel like, ladies and gents, there's so much good in plays happening all across the map, but we only have 1 observer. I pointed out just now the purple buff was left, just 1 purple buff on purpose. Crazy strategy, but at the same time, the observer also cannot catch the fact that R7 made that play to steal away the Lord, but that's not enough.
I hope our analysts, once we throw over to them, picks up on 2 key points, right?
Yeah.
Number 1 is the fact that, yes, they starved Albert because of the buff mechanic. They just left 1, and then that means he can only really go for 1, and they can corral him there. The other is how Blacklist International used turtle fights into complete wipeouts. They did that in the early to mid game, and I'm hoping that the analysts cover more of that. So right now, on behalf of Jays and Arashi, at your service, my name is Leo. Let's throw it over to our handsome analysts.
Don't worry, amazing casters, because we will definitely cover that. Blacklist International enter the stage with 0-6 against Indonesian teams. Now it looks like they're reverse sweeping it with 2-7. But to answer both questions, we gotta talk about Wise on the Fredrin. Welcome to the analyst stand with me, Lafel, Trex, as well as Nisu. I agree with Leo. We gotta talk about this. Let's talk about Wise.
Wise, man, on this Fredrin pick, I think this is the best we've seen it played. I mean, we've seen Fredrin a lot, but specifically, like Leo said, we were picking up on this earlier too, right? Blacklist International would leave that small, you know, that small buff creep.
Exactly,
minion,
yeah.
right? They would leave it there. So then Albert had a choice, because it still shows up on the icon right on the map. So he goes there, he finds out, well, that's not actually the buff. By that time, his purple buff is gone, right? And they really played around that for a majority of the game, honestly.
I mean, and it's those minute details that gives Blacklist those small advantages, those small choices, those, even in that last fight, splitting them up and knowing that because of the gold lead, they can still take advantage even if they lose the Lord.
Yeah, Wise used Frederick almost flawlessly because he's tanky, but he even talked about how Blacklist International really using the turtle to dictate the fight, because again, Frederick not only is tanky, but he could control a lot of people, taunting, so everyone actually moves together and he can hit everyone with the ult. Let's look at the itemization as well as the hero pick, because I do want to talk about Wise, but I also want to talk about a different kind of build or an update on the build for Claude, because not only Oheb is using this build, but before, even Skylar, we got to talk about the Corrosion Scythe on this Claude.
Corrosion Scythe, right, it's going to slow people down as soon as you're getting those attacks on, and I think that's crucial here, especially, again, complementing that Fredrin. You have the CC, the knock up there, you also have the taunt, and then on top of it, what you also saw from, I mean, even Haji, a lot of the times the way that he was following up with the Terrify, you know, that's what makes Valentina so strong, not to mention being able to take the ultimates here, and all of that just kind of really complemented each other, and I feel like that's why you see a lot of Corrosion Scythe pickups now for Claude specifically.
I mean, and then as well, him picking up that Wind of Nature towards the end there, able to, once again, give them the sustainability in these team fights. But the big thing to point out is 16,000 gold. I mean, if you let Oheb farm, it's a rough game for anyone facing them.
16,000 gold in 22, almost 23 minutes in this game. Gave Oheb, the rich guy, 726 gold per minute, and he is indeed the carry. 125,000 total damage dealt just by Oheb. Forgotten one is also Oh My Venus, and I kind of feel like this is what is beautiful about Blacklist International's draft, is because we talked about how Wise is using the Fredrin as well as Oheb having the Corrosion Scythe on the Claw, because usually we just see Demon Hunter Sword, Golden Staff, and then straight into something like a Wind of Nature, Malefic Roar, either damage or just to survive. But having everything work together, there's so much slows that Rrq Hoshi, if they start to initiate, there's almost no way for them to go back. So once they commit it, they can't be like, oopsie poopsie, I'm sorry, let's get out of this. They can't do that.
Yeah, it's tough for them to, and this was kind of a similar situation from Game 2, right? It was a lot of that push and pull between both these teams here, but this time too, I mean, it was great to, well, we didn't get to see it on camera, but that Holy Mary play, the wild charge from R7, could have possibly turned the game there, but unfortunately by that time, it was just too late. You know, the massive lead that Blacklist International had, and not to mention for the majority of the game, it was really not in favor of Rrq with objectives, right? We saw this from Game 2 where they didn't have any space to work with, and Blacklist International pretty much did the same thing here for the majority of this game.
Yeah, Blacklist International now match point, and we got to give it over to Wise as we're talking about him. 8-1-13. He only died once around the Lord Pit where he just took too much damage. 81% kill participation. Trex, what else can we say about this guy?
I mean, just full defensive build, the Guardian helmet to give him even more sustainability, and this is, I mean, all around from all three games. It's been sustainability with a touch of damage, and as long as we can outlast them, we can beat them, and that's the motto of Blacklist right there.
Yeah, and I kind of feel like Rrq Hoshi going up against this next game, because if they lose, it's game over. They got to pay attention to Wise because he's been doing too much on this Frederick. After this, we're going to be looking at the heat map, and the way that they've been moving around, I like the control in the jungle as well as the riverside coming in from Blacklist International, because again, Fanny has one big problem, which is the purple buff.
Purple buff.
Yeah, but soon we're gonna look at the highlights to see what really happened throughout the game, because the movement is quite coordinated coming in from Blacklist.
Again, right, you see a lot of this in the early on part of the game. Blacklist International already had that lead starting off, but this is really where they started to focus on controlling the parts of the jungle here, specifically that purple buff. And again, every time they fought around these objectives, everything fell into place for them.
Not only that, we were talking a little bit about R7 earlier, and it just felt like he was never able to get that big setup. Yes, towards the end, as you mentioned, the Hail Mary, but still, he's just constantly holding on to it.
Honestly, looking at the game, I kind of feel like what R7 is really looking for is a counter engage, because he knows once Oheb comes in, he could punish it, but Oheb, having a very good trigger finger, is like, I'm not going to go in. I'm perfectly comfortable just attacking from behind. And the thing is, that is kind of like causing R7 not to be as aggressive as he can be. And the moments like, this is a good change for the E, because when you're in the real world manipulation, you can't get stopped by crowd control. R7 tried time and time again. It didn't work out well.
Yeah, I think Rrq is still, a great option, but in terms of even then, we saw it in the highlights, right? Sometimes those Guardian Barriers were actually working against you. Sometimes it was trapping members of RRQ, and the follow-up, like by that time, the slow was already there, right? So it was really tough just to work around in terms of what Blacklist International had going in their favor.
Right now, we're looking at match points, so we're going over to Mara, where she's down there with the agents from Blacklist International to hear what they think about the games.
Pinas Langmalangkas! Budi berada di tengah para agent, and we have special guests here. We have Dixie, Alodia, and Rojin!
I don't know if they could hear the crowd, but it's pretty intense. How does it feel right now watching Blacklist needing one more win?
It's so extreme here. The crowd is intense, but you know what?